Welcome back to another edition of the Rodcast. Got a lot of great stuff planned for you on the show today. Of course, we'll talk about the disappointing Game 2 result for Mavs fans. Now the Celtics up 2-0 in that series. We'll discuss that and break that down, of course. We'll also get into the other big story in the basketball world. Caitlin Clark left off the Olympic roster. A lot of people upset about that. We'll discuss it, talk about what it means. We'll also go behind the burnt orange curtain. Should we start calling Texas Lambo U? A lot of people are upset about the fleet of Lamborghinis displayed for the official visits this past weekend. We'll talk about whether that's a big deal or not. We'll also get into some other news, notes, and nuggets from around the NFL. There's also always talk about the worst to first and the first to worst conversation in the NFL. So we'll talk about who's going to likely go from worst to first and first to worst. We'll do that in Raj Rant of the Day. We'll also, I've told you guys, this wide receiver market likely potentially to have six, maybe even seven. I have proof now, potentially seven wide receivers who will be making at least $30 million a year. And you only have two other players in the NFL, non-quarterbacks in the NFL, who will be making at least $30 million a year. Something's happening with the wide receiver market, or at least the NFL is telling you loud and clear it's the second most important position in football. We'll get to it. We'll get to that report also coming up a little bit later on in the show. There's also your usual favorites. My man Patrick will have the topic for the big fat poll of the day. We'll also have what the facts, what the stats off the record coming up a little bit later on in the show. Who said that coming up a little bit later on. Also, we got a Rangers report. It's a Monday, so Rangers fans stick around for that. That'll be coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. Before we do any of that, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He's one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. He's also got a hustler spirit, period. I'm not sure what he's paid, but I'm pretty damn sure the man is underpaid. Ain't no 401k for this hustler, and he's a hustle man of many talents. It's my friend, co-host, and neighbor. We call him the Idealionaire. He's got a lot of names because he wears a lot of hats. It's Patrick Davis, y'all. What's going on, brother?
Doing good. It's good to be back on a Monday, ready to talk some more sports. Got to watch some basketball last night. It was not what the result we wanted, but it was a better game than we got in game one.
It was a better game. It was more competitive, but still not the result we wanted. That Boston just looks good. I mean, they are good. They look as good as advertised. We were hoping that it was kind of maybe it was a bit of a mirage, that they weren't that good, that they hadn't been tested. No, they're that good. Unfortunately, they're that good. We might not even have an entertaining finals because they're that good.
They're pretty stacked. They're pretty stacked. But let me introduce you to my co-host. He's a proud alumni of DBU. He's got more papers in Dunder Mifflin and watches more film than Siskel and Ebert. He is a new Rod, father of Austin Sports Radio, Mr. Rod Babers.
Thank you for the intro, brother. Yeah, I think I was hoping that too. We'll get into it here and break it down. But yeah, I think we were all hoping when the fit hits the shan. Let's see if this Boston team, if they actually do have the wherewithal, the fortitude, in addition to having obviously the stacked roster and the talent. Let's see if they have the culture. Let's see if they have, the chemistry, the camaraderie, and all that kind of stuff. And I think, they're proving all that more because the superstars aren't necessarily winning this thing.
No,
they got some of the other guys stepping up, showing you how deep they are. So we'll get into it. We'll dive into it. Unfortunately, sorry, Mavs fans. I know you probably don't want to dive into it, but we will. We'll dissect that. First, my man Patrick always does us a great service because he gives us the Horn headlines, which updates us, educates us, and informs us of all the top stories of the day. So let's get the Horn headlines out of the way, and then we'll dive into Texas. Got to give Texas some props too. Forgot about that. We'll do that here in this segment as well. The athletic department overall getting some national love. We'll do that, national recognition. But before we do that, let's hit the Horn headlines with Patrick Davis and get updated, informed, and educated with all the top stories of the day.
Horn headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. Texas finished its athletic run for the sports year by winning its third Directors' Cup in the last 4 years. Stanford won the title back last year before Texas was able to get the honor again following the success of Texas golf, softball, and track and field to close out their seasons. The Directors' Cup is an award given to the top overall athletic department in all sports, men's and women's, once again solidifying the Longhorns' overall success. In the NBA, the Celtics took Game 2 of the NBA Finals 105-98 with Luka Doncic posting a 32-point triple-double, but he still took blame for the loss after the game, citing his 50% free throw shooting and costly 8 turnovers. Drew Holiday led the way for the Celtics with 26 points at 11 for 14 shooting. But the real story was the smothering Boston defense, once again holding the Mavs under 100 points. Kristaps Porzingis, who came up limping in the game, says he feels good about being healthy enough to play in Game 3. Series will now head to Dallas. The Mavericks are in desperate need of a win. In Major League Baseball, the Astros won their series over the Angels over the weekend, but missed a sweep as Trey Cabbage almost stole the walk-off home run with a great catch before losing the ball into the crowd. The Astros will now move on to a series with the Giants, who just won a series against the Rangers, but dropped their Sunday game 7-2. Marcus Semien got another big home run for the Rangers in the game, and Nathan Eovaldi was able to pick up the win after 7 innings of work. The Rangers now move on to a series with the Dodgers starting Tuesday, and that is your Horn headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the Horn headlines. And yes, congratulations are in order for the Texas Athletic Department winning the Directors Cup again for 3 out of the last 4 years. Texas winning the Directors Cup for the best athletic department in the country. It says a lot because I don't even think we cared about Directors Cups before. I know they changed the rules too. This was big.
Yeah.
Because at one point, basically, the scoring was based on all the sports you had with varsity sports within your athletic department, and Stanford just had so damn many they would win it every year. And then they changed the rules where, all right, well, we're only considering your top whatever, how many sports.
I think it's 19.
Yeah, whatever it is.
So it's still
take
a lot,
whatever it is.
But I think
still
it's your top 19.
Stanford had like, 30 something sports. It's well, you got 30 sports. Well, you're gonna win it every damn year. Who's out there many sports, whatever it is. So they narrowed it down. And since they narrowed it down, actually it's still really only mostly a 2-horse race here. But at least it now put Texas in the conversation with Stanford, and now Texas has overtaken Stanford last 3 out of the last 4 years with the changing of the rules.
I believe the actual numbers are 26 out of the 29 years are Stanford, and 3 out of the 29 are Texas.
And that's the last
3 out of 4. But so the first it was just a Stanford award.
It was like a Stanford award. It was like, Stanford, y'all make up your own award? It's like you see those commercials like, we won the award for the best achievement and excellence award. It's like, you made that award up. Like, you gave yourself an award, didn't you? That's basically what it was for a while. But now, and I will say this, I'll give CDC credit. He promoted it. He marketed when he first got it. I remember him talking about it. We want to win Directors Cup. We want to be the best athletic department in the country. We want that award. It means something. And then, after a while, Longhorn fans started to have pride in it too and understood what it meant. And it's pretty amazing. And right now, the athletic, I think you're embarking potentially. And yes, I know NIL and transfer portal and the new era of college sports also helps Texas. But I do think they're embarking on maybe a golden era of Texas sports again. Just seemed like it. Seems like they're right there on the cusp of it because it seems like all the sports are really good. And I know Texas baseball fans are right now feeling a certain kind of way. But I don't know. There may be some movement on that too. Because I will say CDC, there has not been a public public statement of support.
Yeah.
In the midst of the chatter among
Longhorn
fans.
from basically
that's interesting too.
From David Pierce after the game being asked about his future, and he's like, it's not up to me. And then there has been radio silence.
Crickets.
Which, I think, you're waiting for the College World Series to be over.
I think that's big.
Because if you're firing him and hiring a coach, it's going to be one of them guys. You're going after one of them. You don't want to go after a bad coach. You want to go after one of the best.
That would seem to be the case. Matter of fact, we'll get into that because we actually have some audio that relating to that topic, of course, but that's not what we're talking about. But it is of course a big topic of conversation among Texas baseball fans. But even Texas baseball is not bad. We even talked about this too. The problem with Texas baseball right now and Coach Pierce, it's not they're bad. It's just because they're not great, and that is a blue blood program, and they always want to be having the conversation about winning a championship. And Texas football fans are the same way. They're not even having a conversation about it. If they know it's not even realistic, then Longhorn, they want to change. They're like, nah, man, we want to be. And they believe now with Sark, they're going to be having the conversation. With Mac, they were having the conversation every year. Did they win it? No, not every year, but they were having the conversation. We had the conversation in 01 when I was there. We were having the conversation in 02. They were having the conversation in 04 and 05. They didn't win it. It had the conversation in 08, 09. You want to be having the championship. You want your fans to be able to have that conversation if you consider yourself a blue blood. And if you're a blue blood and you're not having that conversation, then there are a lot of upset fans. And I think that's what's going on with Texas baseball. Like I said, they're good, but the standard is great. All right, Mavs fans, they're good. But the Boston Celtics look great to bring it full circle. And it's so disappointing for Mavs fans because The first game, it was KP who just went off, and nobody expected it coming off, a month, of being on the sideline because of the injury, and then he has a 7-minute spurt in like the first quarter of game one where he's the best player on the planet and just goes off. And adds that to the Boston Celtics already loaded roster. And then they of course, they go along to win that game 107-89. And the Mavs, as you've talked about, and we've talked about all playoffs, they never got it to clutch time. And that's what the fight for them was to try to get it to clutch time. And this game is Drew Holiday, that guy who plays the game of his life. Scored a team high 26 points. He was 11 of 14. And who was, and how about this? Didn't have a turnover.
Yeah, didn't have a turnover.
Had that much usage. Was you know what I mean? Was that active offensively, and was also the most efficient you could be potentially, because he did not have a turnover and was 11 of 14.
Added 11 amazing. Rebounds as well, by the way.
Yeah, 11. Yeah. I mean, would you say one man? He really was, man. He was kind of a one-man wrecking crew out there. And they had, of course, just, he ended up, having a supporting cast, I guess, but they didn't really need much. And I'll give this to Luka, because Luka said after the game, I've talked about this before, when you lose, be a me guy. When you win, be a we guy. And you pointed out in the, also in the Horn headlines, he took all the blame. He's like, nah, I was on me. I should hit them free throws.
Yeah, should hit them free throws. Couldn't have the turnovers.
And the turnovers. Yeah, that's what you do. When you're a superstar, just say that, even though you had 32, 11, and 11. And 4 steals, by the way.
Yeah, and then we see it on the other side, though, is we see Jason Tatum's been pretty awful in this series. He's been worse than Kyrie Irving has.
He's been bad, yeah.
And he's not been good. And Jaylen Brown was okay, but he also had 8 turnovers in the game. He wasn't playing great basketball either. And the difference for Luka is Luka's playing good basketball. It's just he's not having the help from anybody, especially Kyrie. And that team is built on having the great backcourt, not the great one guy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Kyrie has not shown up yet in this series, and he continues to struggle versus Boston. Now they keep bringing up the number. He's 0-12 in this last 12 games against the Boston Celtics. And yeah, in this game, he just once again, I'm going to say it was a no-show, but considering what they need from him, he's not up to the task right now. And they can't just, the Mavs they got no shot if Kyrie doesn't pull his weight. In this series, they got no shot. Not against the Celtics. There's no chance at all. No. And this thing will potentially be a sweep if Kyrie doesn't have a good game and bounce back in game 3. No, I'm serious. It could be a sweep because I don't think they can win game 3 with Kyrie playing like this.
No, I mean, and the hope is when they go back to Dallas, it helps that, him not being in Boston and maybe that change of pace and getting back onto his home court, maybe that helps a little bit of getting the shooting back into the form it needs to be. Maybe that, change of mindset helps him a little bit. But yeah, it's, because the rest of the team is doing okay. I mean, no one's doing anything, hugely special, but you didn't expect them to. You wanted Derek Lively to be a little bit more effective in this series. He just hasn't been. They've really cut off those passes and those lobs. They've really done a good job because they understand we're okay with Luka scoring points on us. If he's going to hit those little mid-range 2-point shots, we don't care. We'll let Luka hit 2s on us all day, or at least take 2s on us because he's going to miss some too. Instead of throwing lobs for easy dunks, and we're going to take all the dunks away from Kyrie because he is just having a bad series. So we know we can defend him one-on-one and get into his head. And it's the crazy part about it is you wouldn't have expected, you would expect it seeing how this Mavs team's played down the stretch, but this is a Mavs team. The defense has been there. They have, they've been a team that has defensively held the Celtics where they needed to. We talk about it. Under 110 is where you need to hold them. And they've held them under 110 in the last 2 games. And I know it seems like a high number, but that's where you need to hold them. You just have to get to that 110 mark.
Yep.
And I think that's really what when you look at what they need to do in Dallas is they have to score. And that's
you're right about that.
That's one of those things. Is you have to be able to score points. You have to be able to go in and get the points.
It goes back to Kyrie having a better start or a better finish. One of them. He's got to, like we talked about, he ain't got to be the guy that carries the load the entire time. But there's got to be at one point in the game where he's able to take over And I guess in the first half, he was 5 of 10 in the first half, but he was 2 of 8 in the second half of that game. And that's really kind of needed him. In the first quarter, I mean, I think the Mavs led the entire first quarter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
They got off to a decent start. And I think that was probably because Kyrie was still in. He was 5 of 10, like I said, in the first half of that game, but 2 of 8 in the second half. And I think in the series now, what is Kyrie? He's got it. I think he's like 13 of 37 or something like that.
He has more shots than points, and that's not a good thing.
I believe you're right about that.
That's where it's at, and that Jason Tatum does too. Both of them have more shots than points, and that is not a good stat you ever want to see.
Is 12 of 38 in the series so far. Jason Tatum is. And how about Jason Kidd? This was I don't know when he said this over the weekend before. It was before game 2 though. Jason Kidd trying to play some kind of psychological warfare and saying that he thought Jaylen Brown was the best player on the team.
I saw that. I saw that Jason Kidd said it. Drew Holiday said I don't think he's wrong.
Yeah, no, it was. I don't know if he was. I think he was trying to provide them. He tried to throw out some stuff. Good for Jason Kidd. I mean, whatever it takes.
But this is the problem: we're all focusing. Jason Kidd's focused on their stars of the guys they drafted. The whole reality is Brad Stevens knew that he needed to bring in champions and bring in guys with more mental fortitude, and that's what he did with Drew Holiday and Derek White. He brought in guys from other programs, and those guys are playing really, really well for him right now. And they're a great defensive backcourt. And Derek White has one of the big plays of the game, getting the block there at the end on a point where the game is getting close. It could have been cut down on a fast break, and he closes the gap and blocks a shot. And with like a minute and a half left in that game, and it completely changes the complexion because the Mavs get a stop, get the ball going down the other side of the court, and they can't convert. And it turns that game from, oh man, the Mavs might be contesting. This might, we might get to a last second game, and all of a sudden the momentum completely shifted on that. Those plays that Derek White's had in this of getting blocks and getting big plays and hitting big threes, he's just been, he's been very important. We talked about Drew Holiday and what he has done. Those are additions they made in the last, year and a half to really solidify this team where, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are going to have their little back and forth of who's the best player. But the reality is neither one of them has won game 1 or game 2. Porzingis won game 1. I know Jaylen Brown's part of it. I know Jason Tatum's part of it. But they're not necessarily the biggest factors in either one of these games, 1 or 2. They're a factor because you have to play defense on them. And for the Mavs, they have to pick your poison. And so far, everybody's been poison. So normally you try and do it. I mean, like for the Celtics, they say, well, we'll let Kyrie go off, or we'll let Luka go off a little bit. We want to shut down Kyrie completely because we think we can. And then we'll let PJ Washington and Derek Jones shoot some threes, but we want them to shoot threes above the break, not in the corner. So we want to take away the corner threes because it's a higher percentage shot for them. So we want to create those ones above the break. And, they haven't shot well. They shot one? PJ Washington was 1 for 5. Derek Jones was 0 for 3 in the game. Josh Green was 0 for 3. Maxi Kleber was 0 for 2. So, I mean, their three-point shooting, once again, 6 of 26. They shot, they were doing okay in the first quarter when they were in it. They were out shooting the Celtics from 3, and that changed. And it's one of the reasons why they go down. Like, you have to be able to hit threes. And even if Kyrie's not playing great, if the rest of the team can hit some threes, it could change the fate of the Mavs as well. Because, you have to score points. At this, your defense is there. It's just your offense is gone. And that's really your problem. Is this is a great offensive team at points, but for whatever reason, well, I mean, we know the one big reason is that the Celtics are just a really good defensive team.
Yeah.
But I think this is what you look at of, you're not writing the Mavs off or anything, but this is their offseason now is, well, we're there, but we're where the Celtics were a couple of years ago, where we need veterans now, and we need to add in some guys with some experience, some guys we feel that are going to be a little bit more consistent in these moments than what we've seen right now. And that's kind of what you're missing with the Mavs is you have a lot of young guys that need to perform the best of their career, where Drew Holiday can have that game, but he's had big games before. He's been a champion. He's the second best player on a championship team. Like, he's been in these situations. He's had, he scored a lot of points in games before. He's done those things. So you bring him in, you bring in Derek White, who we knew was on a team and coached by Popovich. And I know I'm a homer on that one, but, was taught in a way to play basketball and, is a guy who's a workhorse guy and came in with a slightly different mindset than what a lot of the Celtics had going into it, where they wanted to be a more offensive team. He brought in more of that hard nose. Kristaps Porzingis being able to be in a position where he doesn't have to be the guy anymore and is just enjoying playing basketball again, and you can see him stepping up and playing better. It's definitely something that the Mavs are not in a position where they need it right now. But if they had a couple more players that with a little bit more experience, they'd be in a better position in the series.
No, I totally agree with you. It's pretty obvious at this point because they haven't even got it to clutch time yet, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
No, I mean we were
5 points.
So they did. Close. They got it to 5, and that's when they had that breakout. And if they hit that shot, I believe it takes it to 3.
Okay.
And that would have been the moment of, okay, we're really into it. And they got the steal. They got the stop. They got the ball going the other direction. And Derek White blocks it. They come back down and score on the other end, and it's over. But yeah, so they got 2-5 in clutch time. But it was, it was a very short period of time. It was great to see the Mavs keep fighting. It's great to see them fight in these series and stay into it. But your margin for error is so slim when you're trying to fight back. And you're having to play, you're not able to play your bench as many minutes as you want because, Boston didn't play their bench very many minutes. They got, Hauser played 10 minutes, Pritchard played 12, and Porzingis only played 23 because he came up limping at a point, so they pulled him out of the game and there at the end to make sure he didn't hurt himself any worse. But you have to be able to get your guys to perform there at the end and be able to perform consistently throughout the game and not allow to get down, having to fight back from double digits late in the game because it's killing them every time.
It's brutal. Yeah. They're getting closer. Like you said, maybe this is going to culminate to they winning game 3. They figured some things out, but the fear is that, and I'll give, like you said, we got to give the Mavs some credit too defensively. That's got to be something that's frustrating Jason Tatum because they did a good job on him in game 1 too. But yeah, the stars for the Celtics haven't really shown up yet. So that could also really turn this thing into a boat race if they do. But on the other hand, Kyrie has not really shown up yet. If Kyrie shows up, they win one of these games.
Exactly.
Well, maybe they win game 2. I don't know if they win game 1. Game 1 was it was out of reach early. But game 2, if Kyrie has a better game, a better showing, they win game 2. So I'm with you. It's now we're in the situation where it's not an elimination game, but it feels like an elimination game for game 3. It's not an elimination game, but it feels like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you ain't coming back down 0-3.
No, because then it feels like what it was in the Western Conference Finals, where all you're trying to do is not be swept. All you're trying to do in that game 3, in that game 4. If you lose game 3, your game 4 is don't be swept, don't be swept. And it's really hard to have that mindset and then think we can come back and win 4 straight. Your mindset is normally just don't get swept. Don't be a statistic in the bad category.
Yeah, don't be history. Don't make the bad kind of history.
You want to be. So you want to be able. If you win game 3, you're right back in it. You're on schedule at home court, and you still got to steal one in Boston. But you've got to win game 3 at this point.
And this will be the most relaxed. Boston, they have a tendency to play with their food and get distracted. This will be the most distracted that they are serious because they're not celebrating yet. But I guarantee you, they're starting to get a little giddy. They're starting to get giddy and there are a lot of guys talking about it already. Like, hey man, we're gonna be champions. We're gonna be champions. So
I guarantee
you're gonna catch them sleeping. This is the one to do it.
I guarantee there are conversations, whether in the locker room or outside of it, of man, it's gonna suck to win the title in Dallas. I'd rather win in Boston.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's some of those. Yes.
And you're like, and that's a conversation you should not be having when you're only up 2-0.
It's human nature though. It's human nature. Somebody there's. I guarantee if one leaves, like, shut up, man, shut up right now. Don't talk about it. But it's human nature for it to sink in, and at least the guys are thinking about it. So if you're the Mavs, this is the game for the desperation factor to be way in your face.
Someone's Googling clubs in Dallas to see where they're going to party after the game.
They're like, bro, I might reserve that club for the party, man. I'm thinking about it. You know what I mean? Yeah, people.
We winning this on a Friday night. It's gonna be like.
It's human, and considering they, like I said, the Mavs, they haven't made easy work of the Mavs, but they haven't played their best game either, and they're up 2-0 in this series, and they've done it because, like I said, KP in game 1 and then Drew Holiday in game 2. That's wow. Like I said, we were hoping that the Mavs could catch the Celtics, who somewhat had, maybe there was a flaw that we hadn't seen
Yeah.
somehow that hadn't been exposed. The truth is, they really don't have like a tragic flaw. That's the problem. Like there's no real tragic flaw.
No, and I think your most tragic would be the closest thing, which is if you can get them into a game at the end of the game, you had a real shot, because Derek White had to save him at the end of that game. It wasn't Tatum or Brown that was saving him in clutch time. Yeah. And you saw Jason Tatum again, where he turns the ball over, and you're just like, oh, this is not helping your case, because it was a 5-point game, and Tatum turns it over, and you're like, not helping your case, Tatum.
This is not helping Tatum's like legacy. This finals here.
No, I mean, considering the fact the conversation now is Jason Tatum being the best player on this team, that was not what he wanted to have the conversation coming out.
Now you got opposing coaches talking about it and saying it, and you got teammates saying it. Yeah, I mean that's so they can still win, even there. Now I don't think they're a divided locker room, but even with that issue about whose team it is, it doesn't matter. That's how good they are. Yeah. So pretty boring final so far, just because the Celtics are just that damn good. All right, we got to talk about Lambeau U, or is that the new nickname for the University of Texas? Because they put out a fleet of Lamborghinis to impress the recruits on their official visits. Their video of it went viral, and people feel a certain kind of way about it. So we'll talk about it when we go behind the burnt orange curtain. Also, Texas has a new special assistant to the head coach. We'll get into that too a little bit. Other news, notes, and nuggets about Texas football when we go behind the burnt orange curtain, coming up next right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Babers coming back on the home. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn, Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about Dr. Greg Eckert. I call him Dr. U, and his all-star team. They've helped me. I owe them a huge debt of gratitude. My dental health has never been better thanks to Dr. Greg Eckert and his team. And first of all, when I went in initially just for a checkup, a routine checkup, just for a teeth cleaning, they found during the checkup that my wisdom teeth were growing in sideways. Yeah, I was on the verge of a disastrous problem, potentially impacting my molars. Oh, it could have been really, really a huge issue for me. But they told me not to stress about it. They got on it. They went to work. They scheduled the procedure, educated me about every step of the process, made me feel comfortable, had everything done. I was back at work within a couple of days. You guys know I don't miss a lot of time of work. And it was great. And from that point on, I've been a huge advocate for anybody asking about a dental recommendation for Dr. Greg Eckert and his team. Doesn't matter. Hopefully, it's not as disastrous. All right. It's not as serious as having all of your wisdom teeth removed. Hopefully, for you, it's just a routine checkup or a routine cleaning. But trust me, you can trust Dr. Eckert and his team. If it's general dentistry, teeth whitening, porcelain crowns, veneers, dentures, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, root canal therapy, you name it, whatever it takes to ensure you're getting the best quality dental care available. That's what Dr. Greg Eckert and his team are all about. Actually, the first time I went into Dr. Greg Eckert's office, I remember it very clearly, vividly, actually. I walked in there, and there was a woman who was actually crying, and I thought to myself, see, this is why I don't come to the dentist. But I was wrong. Turns out she was crying tears of joy. She told us that she had looked in the mirror and saw her smile. It had never looked better. She had someone who had some dental issues, and she had always been insecure about her smile. And Dr. Eckert and his fantastic team gave her a wonderful new smile. And he can do the same for you. Matter of fact, right now, he has that ability. He can give you a brand new smile in just one day, permanently secured to your dental implants. No time spent without teeth. You'll get temporary fixtures until they complete your permanent smile, and then you'll smile again with confidence and eat freely without pain or discomfort. It's a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced or you have dentures right now, learn about this revolutionary alternative to dentures. It's a brand new smile in just one day. It sounds too good to be true. It's not. It's just Dr. U. It's a complimentary consultation, so you got nothing to lose but everything to gain, because Dr. U understands that a confident smile can truly change your life, and he wants to change your life for the better. So what are you waiting for? Give him a call, 512-345-3166. That's 512-345-3166, or visit dreckert.com, DRUECKERT.com. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis and I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Time to go behind the burnt nose curtain, talk some Texas football. So over the weekend, Texas hosted several official visits for prospects in the 2026 class for their football team, and apparently part of the recruiting pitch was to display a fleet of Lamborghinis there on campus, right there at DKR. Right when the recruits walked up, they had a video of it, went viral, and a lot of folks were upset with this. Now, this is there are some players who I do believe were driving Lamborghinis, but I think they were their own. I'm not sure. They were just up there for display. It wasn't like every recruit got a chance to just roll off in a Lamborghini. It was a display thing, from what I heard, and it was an agreement they had with Lamborghini. And by the way, Texas had, remember, I think Bijan might have had a Lamborghini endorsement during this NIL, one of his NIL deals that he had at Texas. And I want to say last year it was like Jake Majors and Jordan Whittington and Jalen Ford who had some deals with
Yeah.
Lamborghini. So it's been something Texas had, like it's been something that's been within the program for a few years now. This is the first time we've seen this. But by the way, this is not the first time we've seen this, period. Oklahoma did this in like 2021. And they had it on, it wasn't all Lamborghinis. It was just really sports cars of any kind. They just had like different sports cars on their football field. There's a video that's resurfaced online when Oklahoma did it. And I don't remember the blowback being like this. I don't remember there being this much negative blowback about it. But it is Texas, so maybe it's obviously Texas and the brand elicit from some a lot of sports competitive hatred, if you will. So it could be that. But I don't remember people talking about, because this happens a lot. I mean, nobody was talking about. I remember when they had helicopters that were going to like recruits. Going to recruits games and stuff. This was a big deal. We talk about this all the time. The arms race always, it materializes in a different way. The arms race in college sports, right? And I remember at one point it was all about facilities. You had to have a barber shop in your locker room and TVs in your lockers, and your lockers had to light up, and you had to have slides and stuff all throughout your facilities. Really cool, crazy stuff. Your players lounge had to have video games, and it had to have like pool tables and all this really cool stuff. And now you don't really see that anymore. Nobody really cares about that, because the arms race has taken on it's taken on something different, right? And now I think it is NIL is what the arms race now represents. And it's weird that now when Texas goes back to kind of an old idea, like I said, Oklahoma did this a few years ago. I don't remember there being this much blowback, but I do think Texas has a reputation that they have a lot of money. Now, whether that reputation is true or not, I think it is true. But a lot of people believe that in the NIL era that we live in, that Texas is going to they're going to separate themselves even more, because NIL allows you, the free market allows you to weaponize those boosters, donors, and those resources. And that this is part of them weaponizing their resources. It is throwing Lamborghinis at players. By the way, this is the whole point of NIL. Right? If you're a Lamborghini, you love this partnership. We're talking about, why the hell are we talking about Lamborghini? I'm not buying a Lamborghini. I'm never going to buy a Lamborghini. But we've been talking about Lamborghinis all weekend long. And Lamborghini, they just got a free commercial when the video went viral of them, the recruits walking up and talking about the Lamborghinis and putting it out all over their social medias. So the whole point of NIL is so that the companies get marketing and promotion creatively, and so that the university or whoever it is, the players themselves also get, of course, compensation via some NIL deal. And if they play well enough, I imagine they will. Hell, we got Texas. We just talked about it. Bijan's had a Lamborghini deal. So did Jordan Whittington and Jalen Ford and Jake Majors. You play good enough, you get the Lambo deal. And so it's all actually just kind of inspiration for the players when they out there. It's the same thing they used to do with us when they would put the jersey on, and then they would on the recruiting visit, they would call your name and introduce you onto the field and have like fake crowd noise. I mean, it's the same. It's just taken to a much higher level and a much more creative level with NIL. So it's just recruiting is just sales. It's a sales pitch. And I think people are really upset that the Texas sales pitch it's just really good right now. It's a really good sales pitch right now. And I understand there's not a lot to negatively recruit against the University of Texas right now. And that used to be really easy.
Yeah.
And now it's not.
No, and I think that, you're going to see it in the fact that everyone from the Big 12 is going to say, well, we want you to fail in the SEC. And then we'll say that the Big 12 is better. And then blah, blah, blah. We can say, we can go off about how you guys wanted so much and you should have been able, everything bad we can say about Texas because they left us in the Big 12 and you guys just want to make this money. And it's not about sports to you. And it's about sports in the Big 12. It's about athletics here. And you guys just want to go make money. And so screw you guys. And the SEC, they are looking at Texas and saying, that's not how you win in the SEC. We know what we do. And they do the exact same thing. They just don't do it as well. But everybody's just doing the same thing. And so they're saying, well, that's not how you get wins in the SEC. We play hard-nosed football. And, we have guys that don't fit in Lamborghinis because we're real football players here. And so you're just going to get it from both sides. And the reality is you're right. It's more just people saying, crap, I hope that doesn't work. I don't want that to work because if that works, that means they get the players and we don't, and we want to get the players. It seems much more like that. And I get there's always going to be some, people upset at the fact that NIL exists still. There's always going to be that. So anything resulting in the players have money. But you're right. When they talk about facilities, the difference has gone from, I don't care how good your facilities, I want my personal facilities to be better now. Now that is a thing, I don't have to hang out here to play pool. I'll get a pool table in my loft downtown because I can afford that now.
Austin. Yeah,
so I can do that if I want to have whatever. If I want a TV, I'll buy myself a big screen because you're paying me to buy, so I can buy myself a big screen now. That's the mindset has changed into. I'm fine. I'll have it for myself though. I don't need to have it with, share it with everybody else.
Yeah, and that's why, if you're, like I said, the arms race, it manifests itself in a different way. Like I said, it used to be about facilities, and it used to be about, I remember the stadium upgrades were big. Remember stadium? Remember Aggies and Longhorns? Oh, we got to have a bigger Jumbotron, the Megatron, the Godzillatron. It's great. I remember that was a big deal. And now at NIL, what they want is the NIL deals, which I don't think the school can really do it themselves somehow, because maybe there's like some privacy clauses in the laws. But they want those deals to go public. Yes. Right? Texas wants the Pancake Factory to get out there. Now, Texas won't be the one talking about it, but they need Darren Rovell to write that story. Darren Rovell writes that story about, did you know Texas is giving its offensive lineman, every scholarship offensive lineman, $10,000? This is absurd. They are weaponizing NIL, and this is not the spirit of NIL. Blah, blah, blah. When he does that, all it does essentially is explain to all of the parents and the college prospective student athletes of what our NIL opportunities are available at Texas.
Yeah.
And the Lamborghini thing is the same thing. It's like, no, just so you know, it's a Lamborghini dealership down in Austin. And we got a Lamborghini deal, and our really good players, they get Lamborghini deals. So you actually need those stories to get out there. And I think this is another way of it. And the players, like I said, them talking about it themselves, obviously, and them having their NIL deals. But you also need this out there so that the arms race, people know that, oh man, Texas definitely winning the arms race without having to put the actual data of it out there. That Texas is a leader in the NIL space. How would you know that? How would you know it?
Yeah, I mean,
unless the deal of Quinn Ewers' private jet is reported, that he has a NIL deal for a private jet. This is the new arms race, people. You have to get that out there.
No, and I
got to get it out there.
And I think that there's a special part in that too. Of when you do that and have the recruits, you encourage them to pull their phones out and record, and you encourage them to post all this stuff on their. No, go ahead, man. No, man, get this.
Take a picture with it, man. Go ahead, get it on there.
Because then, that's what gets posted, and all those kids know each other. Everybody plays on the same team. Everyone plays against each other in the playoffs. They all follow each other on Instagram, and or TikTok or wherever else they're at.
You did that at your Texas visit, man. I did Texas visit. I got to see if I got the Lamborghinis next time I go. Boom. It's they're teenagers. The Lamborghinis are sexy to teenagers, guys. They are.
That a kid, if a 19-year-old kid drives a Lambo back to the high school that he played at and shows it to the locker room of the team he just got off of that has another 5-star and 3 4-stars that you're looking at. Well,
ding, ding, ding.
That guy's like that dude was in my like I was playing football with him a year ago, and now he's driving a Lambo up to the school.
Come on,
I could be me.
That could be you. That could be you. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's another even exactly. The best recruiters are the players.
Yeah.
The coaches are not the best recruiters out there. No, well, actually, I take that back. Now, NIL is your best recruiter. Then the players are your best recruiter.
The money's always been the best recruiter.
The money's always been the best recruiters. The money's always been the best recruiter. It has been. It is. Yes, it is. There's no doubt about it. And back in the day, it was under the table. Yeah. Now, these. And by the way, don't hate the player, hate the game. These are the rules. This is always been the rules. So you can't hate the player, hate the game. Texas is just playing the game better than most. Now, I'll agree, and I've said this before, it's a great quote about capitalism that every great cause begins as a movement, right? Turns into a business and deteriorates into a racket. We're probably at the racket phase of NIL. We're probably already is a racket pretty much, but that's because there'll be some national legislation. There'll be some federal legislation that will have some more, guardrails on this thing and make it, I think make it something that will be more, make it at least a little bit more practical and pragmatic. So that everybody can get involved, but right now we don't have that, and we just got the Wild Wild West, and it's a state-to-state thing going on.
Which, by the way, it was never even a big secret that car dealerships would hire the players to work there, give them the cushiest jobs ever, and then they'd have a car they could use while they worked for the place. Like that's been going on forever.
Well, athletes, maybe high school athletes, because college athletes can't work. Well, they couldn't under the old amateur.
And so there was, they would have the thing, and they would be promised things as soon as they graduated. And there was there's always been those types of things. And then
no doubt, I had a job coming out that I got from a booster on my way out of high school too.
Yeah.
It was a Texas guy. He was like, "Hey, Robbie, you committed to Texas? Hey, I got somewhere you can work. You want to work there?" I was like, sure, let's go. And I worked there. I won't even tell y'all what I did. It was for some. It really was. I'm not joking. It was like an old guy in H-Town, and I worked there for probably my last 3 months in H-Town. And I mean, I guess I can tell you what I did, but it's just kind of. I'm not gonna tell who it was. I shredded documents like all day. I just shredded in a shady room. I just sat in a shady room and shredded documents. I'm not joking. That was my only job. I didn't even look at it, but that was my only job, is to shred documents. That was a shredder. I was literally a shredder.
It's a high qualifying job of
it was like it paid good money. I was like, if I could just keep this job forever, this would be great. To shred stuff, shred documents. So as to your point, and I say I don't even remember really. I kind of remember the company, but I don't remember the guy that he probably maybe still listens to the show. Hit me up if you still remember me. I would love that. I want to thank you. But yeah, you're right. I've been to that point, and I don't think I was connected to Texas or anything. I think he was just a fan of Texas, and he was like, "Hey, Rod Babers, you're great. Hey, you know what? If you want to come work for my company, you can come work there for a bit." I was like, "Sure, why not?"
Exactly.
Before I go to Texas, and I did. So to your point, that stuff happens.
It happens a lot. So it's not completely new. It's just now you can be in the open with it. Now you're marketing it, which you used to not be able to market it.
Yeah. Now I wouldn't be in a room shredding. I would be out front representing the company.
Yes.
I would have been in the dark room just shredding.
You would have been the guy dancing to avoid them looking for the shredding guy.
Yes, exactly. They'd have had me out front, you know what I mean, as a public face of the company, promoting and doing some other stuff. And while they did other shady stuff on the side, I have no idea why. I'm sure it was something totally above board, but I was just shredding documents the whole time. It was fun. They literally never checked on me. They would put me in this. I would go in this room. They wouldn't lock me in or anything, but I'd go in this room at like 8 a.m, and nobody would check on me all day. I could nap in there, do whatever I wanted to. It was crazy. It was wild. It was unbelievable.
Do you think when you left, he was like, he actually shredded the documents?
I did. I shredded the documents.
They were like, we didn't even think he was going to do that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they probably expected me just to leave. Probably that's why they just like, and nobody checked him. It's like, no, he can do what he wants to do. I shred the documents. I worked, but that's all I was asked to do. It was the wild. I used to go there and take naps. It was crazy. It was wild, but it was fun. Yeah, I mean, for like a 17, 18-year-old kid I was about to go to summer workouts for Texas. So I just needed somewhere to work before I did some workouts. Yeah. And I would think I had worked at Prince's Hamburgers before that. And I was working in customer, like food service industry. And I was like, you know what? I think I'd rather go work for this other company.
I think that might be more fun.
It wasn't more fun, I will admit. The burgers job was better. I used to meet girls that way. It was a great place to meet girls at Prince's Burgers. It really was.
The pay was better though.
The pay was way better at the other place. That's why I took the job. Oh man, that's what right. Hey, what's the American dream? What's the American dream, Patrick?
Hey, work less for more money.
It's exactly what I was doing. And like 18
Nice.
years old, I figured it out. I was like, no, Prince Hamburgers. I can meet girls there. I get free food. It's great. It's fun, but I'm making more money and I'm getting to shred papers all day long. I will take that job. That's a better job, making triple the pay. All right. Anyway, enough about my upbringing. All right, let's get back to things. Talk about the topic for the Big Fat Poll today. We'll have that coming up on the other side with my man Patrick Davis, and then we'll get into the musically themed date of the week right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis coming back on the horn.
Back in the Rodcast here on a Monday. That means it's a smooth soul Monday, playing some soul music to ease you into your work week and get your mood set right as you get ready to start another week here get ready for another week of meetings and performance reviews and whatever else and shredding papers or whatever you got to do.
You're just shredding papers. You got a pretty stress-free life, man. That's your job.
It depends on what them papers are and how much you know's on them.
That's true. Yes, that's a great point. That's a great point. Plead the fifth. If you know, like I didn't read it. I was smart enough then to know they got you just shredding papers, and you don't need to be reading the papers.
No.
So I think they can trust me. Y'all, hey, to this day, whatever company that was, y'all good. I probably could have, honestly, I probably could have been an informant or something like that. Who knows? But no. Y'all paid me good money.
Yeah, I don't know. When I
was
was 18, you could have had like really sensitive, important information. I would have had no idea what it meant.
That's also true.
You'd have been like, oh, it's an oil deal. Cool. I don't know what any of these were. I don't know what this is.
Oh, apparently, you guys are evading all types of taxes. I have no idea.
No idea.
You're right. Yeah, but they knew. They were like,
I'm about to pay taxes for the first time in my life. Haven't even done it yet. Don't know.
That's probably why they overpaid me. They were like, just overpay him. He won't look at the documents.
Yeah, he just won't want to lose the job. He'll be happy.
He won't lose. Exactly. You know what I'm thinking. You know how they go.
All right, let's get to Big Fat Poll today. Text line's open 512-447-3776.
Patrick's Big Fat Poll of the day on the Horn.
Big Fat Poll of the day today. Well, we saw now that the player of the game was Drew Holiday. Kristaps Porzingis was the player of the game in Game 1. So I think that this was a series where we talked a lot about the big names, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and what this could mean for their careers and where they stand on the Celtics. And we've now realized that it may not be that. So we're going into Games 3 and 4. I want to ask you guys, which player on the Celtics scares you the most? If you're looking at the Mavs and you say Games 3 and 4, we got to look at who are we really scared about? Who is the guy that we think is going to step up? Is it still Tatum? Is it still Brown? Or is it Porzingis? Or is it Holiday? Is it Derek White that you're worried about? Who on the Celtics now is the guy that you go, man, we just have to make sure this guy doesn't kill us? And I think we're doing well against Tatum. Brown, he's not going off. We're doing well on that defense. Who's the one that now scares you that Game 3 and 4 could cost you a chance to win those games and take away your hopes of an NBA championship?
Yeah, I know. And the KP one, I didn't say it came out of nowhere, but I said the dude had been off for like a month. The dude had been off for like a month.
And the thing wasn't practicing. It's not like he wasn't playing because it was like, there's certain times where it's injuries and you're not cleared for contact. Yeah. But you can still practice, but they're like, we don't really want you bumping around with guys because you could re-aggravate it. But because it was a calf injury, you can't shoot or do. Now, maybe he was doing the Dylan Dessou, the Marcus Aldridge, the sit in a chair shooting. Maybe he was working on that.
Does that actually help you when you sit in the chair shoot?
Even
though you're not?
Yeah, because it works on your stroke. Yeah. So it does help, but it also, it's not necessarily, the thing that you think is going to put you into game shape and ready to go, or you just start killing people the minute you get back on the court.
That's wild. No, I didn't. Nobody expected that. We expect him to be an impact player at one point, and that's factor, but not first quarter Game 1.
Yeah,
what you saw from him. Then, like I said, Drew Holiday last night was unbelievable. I mean, that was just he was there. He was Boston's best player, and didn't expect that to happen with the talk about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So you're right about that. For the topic for the Big Fat Poll today, you never know. And the Mavs haven't had a player like that.
No, I mean PJ Washington did it some in these playoffs so far, but he's basically been the only guy. I guess you could say Derek Lively's been that guy at points. He is. I'm
talking about like in these.
But no, and that's the thing. I'm just saying in the playoffs they've only had probably two guys. Lively's been the guy, and PJ's been the guy for a couple games. But Lively has been extremely quiet in this series.
Yeah, man.
He got in foul trouble in Game 1, didn't get in foul trouble in Game 2, but I think him being worried about foul trouble may have cost him, and he didn't play as aggressively as he's played in the past, and just did not, and they're cutting off those back cuts, which is really what he does. He's not a guy who's going to score on his own. So if they're cutting off all those pieces and all those pick and rolls that are, the Mavs were kind of bread and butter for them.
Easy money.
Yeah. Easy money. He's been less effective, but I'm just curious what you guys think of the Celtics of who's the guy now. Is it still Brown and Tatum, or are those, you're not worried about Tatum anymore? Like that's the real thing. Is I'm like, at some point you figure Jason Tatum, the cream will rise to the top, and he'll have himself a game, and that's worrying if he's not had it in Game 1 or 2. But he may be done. Maybe they do know how to defend him, and maybe they can slow him down. And PJ's doing a great job on him, and Derek Jones is doing a great job on him. Like they're doing great team defense on those guys. They're throwing them off of their game.
It's the other guys though. Now it's Drew Holiday's in the world. You were like, we're gonna make Drew Holiday beat us. Oh,
and he did.
We're
gonna make Derek White beat us, and he did.
Oh, he did. Yeah, exactly. That's
well, Porzingis is coming back, but don't worry about him. He's gonna be coming back.
It'll take him a while.
He's gonna legs get back into it. We played here. We got to get rid of him. We ain't worried about him.
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Exactly. Like, oh, what? Yeah. I'm with you. It just seems like, and then none of those X factors, other guys have stepped up really for the Mavs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. I don't know who else is going to be. It could be that the supporting cast is showing off right now for the Celtics.
Yes.
It is I don't think I've ever seen a finals where it's all about the supporting cast so far. Usually, we'll
say supporting cast.
Yeah.
You can look at Jaylen Brown's the fourth highest paid player. Now he has a contract extension where he will be the highest paid player until they pay Tatum and all that. But as of right now, he's the fourth highest paid player. Drew Holiday is actually the highest paid player on that team right now because he's on the biggest year of his contract, and then it's descending money after that. But he's got paid. Porzingis gets paid, Tatum gets paid, and then Brown. But they're all in the $30 million range. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're big money players, but in terms of the perception of stars,
yeah, exactly,
and superstars, obviously, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in different category. All right, so there you go. Topic for the big fat poll today. We come back. We'll get in this discussion in basketball. I don't understand this either. Patrick, you're a basketball guy. I don't know if you're paying attention to the WNBA and what's going on. But Caitlin Clark, once again, huge topic of conversation. She has been left off of the Olympic roster for the women's national team. And people are upset about this. So we'll discuss it. Whether should they have based that roster on meritocracy, on just actually who was deserving to get there, or are we talking about something that they should have looked at in terms of the overall stardom and the impact that Caitlin Clark has had on the game of basketball and what she's done to be really a catalyst for a new generation of women's basketball fans. We'll talk about should they have considered that, because obviously they did not, or did they? We'll talk about that when we come back. All that and more right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis coming back on the horn.
Hey, what's up about our friends at Texan Windows? They're your new and replacement window experts in Central Texas. You can discover affordable windows and sliding glass doors. If you're looking to up your curb appeal of your home, maybe get some different window looks of, you want to take the grids off. Maybe that's not the look you're going for. Want to get a big picture window, you can do that. If you want to make a window operable so you can now have a window that can open up and get some fresh air in the house, you can do that. Maybe obscure glass for privacy. Whatever you need, Texan Windows can help you get the look you want, but it's not just about the looks.
Oh, not just about the look at all. It's also about safety as well. I got an 8-month-old in my house, older windows, much harder to childproof. Childproof those windows. You can get that can be one of the advantage of new windows from Texan Windows as well. And also, you want to safeguard your home and safeguard the loved ones within your home. You got older windows. It can be really tough. They usually don't have the technological advances in safety. Texan Windows can also get you updated there as well. And probably what I love most about new windows from Texan Windows, you can save money. That's right. We're talking about you can save lots of money on your annual bills with energy efficient windows from Texan Windows. So your energy bills, think about what you could do with that extra money you're saving on your energy bills. And with the windows from my friends at Texan Windows, you'll be able to keep your house cool during those hot Texas summer days, which are fast approaching. Keep your house warm during those winter months that are coming as well with their insulated, energy efficient windows. So many different reasons for you to reach out to Texan Windows today. My man Patrick will give you all the details how you can do it.
Yes, you can reach out to Texan Windows at TexanWindows.com or give them a call at 855-55-TEXAN. You get a hassle-free estimate by email or over the phone, whatever's easier for you. Or you can go ahead and stop by their showroom, get a brand new one over there in Buda, or check out the one in Fort Worth and see all of their in-stock windows. It's TexanWindows.com. Texan Windows, your Central Texas window experts.
Welcome back to the Rodcast. It is a Smooth Soul Monday edition of the Rodcast. That's when my man Patrick plays jams intended to make the transition from the relaxing, fun-filled weekend to the stress-filled, hectic work week a little bit smoother. So, because usually those Mondays can be tough, they can slap you in the face. So, in order to remedy a case of the Mondays, which a lot of us will be dealing with. He's got a Smooth Soul Monday for you. So we appreciate Patrick. Also appreciate him coming up with the topic for the big fat poll today. NBA related. We talked about the Celtics taking a 2-0 series lead in impressive fashion, 105-98 against these Mavs. And it is a NBA related topic of the day for the big fat poll today. Give the folks the topic, Patrick, for the big fat poll of the day.
Big fat poll today. Which player on the Celtics scares you the most? You're going into game 3 and 4 with the Celtics. We have seen the other players, the role players, or the not star players. I mean, I guess they're all stars, but they're not these superstars. They're not supposed to be the focal point of these offenses, and they have been stepping up. And Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. So who scares you the most going into game 3 and 4? Do you think that it's going to be Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum that takes over and has a big game, or is it going to be somebody else, somebody new? Will it be a Derek White game? Will he have his big game in the series coming up in game 3 or game 4? Is it going to be Al Horford having a big game? Who is going to step up and have their next big game coming in? I don't think it's going to be Sam Hauser or Peyton Pritchard, but who knows? Who knows? And it could be one of those guys again. It could be Drew Holiday. This could be his series. Maybe Drew Holiday goes ahead and tries to get himself a Finals MVP award, which would really throw off the Celtics. They're
seriously. I don't know who's going to win right now. Yeah, the front runners. Who's the front runner for MVP? It's got to be Drew Holiday because it's not.
It may. Yeah, I mean, I think Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday are probably splitting it right now.
Yeah, it's got it right now. I'd probably give it to
But
Drew
defensively, I think you put it on Drew Holiday. I mean, Jaylen Brown's played defense this series as well. It's not like he's not a plus defender,
I agree.
But he's not Drew Holiday defense, and he hasn't been. He's still had a bunch of turnovers in that game, and now Drew Holiday's had a better game than he had in game 1 or game 2. I mean, Jaylen Brown's game 1 was pretty good. It wasn't. Yeah. I think everybody in the Celtics game was pretty good, and then Porzingis was a standout because of defense as well.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Yes, the finals MVP is going to be interesting if Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum don't start to elevate here, and they may not have long to do it, depending on if the Mavs can, be how resilient the Mavs are, and if they can bounce back from being down 2-0 in this series. All right, there you go for the big fat poll today. That's the topic. Who scares you the most from that Boston Celtics team? They're a scary bunch. Period. Because they're as good as advertised, unfortunately, for Mavs fans, and I didn't think they were. I thought they may have been a little bit, I know they were impressive the entire regular season, and in the postseason, it felt like they weren't tested, but maybe they were tested. Maybe they were just that good. Maybe they were. Maybe they were. Now you got a lot of injuries on the eastern side of things too, so I think that also, and I will say it probably distorted my perception of the Celtics too. That there were a lot of injuries on that side, so maybe that's why people thought they weren't tested. But I still could have been true. Maybe they weren't tested.
And I think that's the thing with Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday has been tested enough that he is a guy that is not, the moment's not too big for him.
No.
And so he's been playing well, and the fact that he's, man, I'm playing the finals, man. I've been there. I won one. I'm good. I understand what it means to be here.
It certainly seems that way. No, I'm with you. I don't think Luka's playing great. I mean, Luka looks like he's gonna still be in the conversation to be one of the best players, if not the best player on the planet. But he's not going to be good enough to be able to, uplift his team as the underdog to a Celtic squad as impressive as this one. It's just right now it's not looking like it because he needs some help, and he's not getting enough help. Kyrie's just not having a good enough series, and the supporting cast, they're not stepping up because, like you said, they're inexperienced. So maybe the moment seems to be overwhelming the young guys a little bit. But Luka was great, man. Triple double in the finals, 30-point triple double, and saying that he took the blame. He said it was my fault. I should have been better. I should have took care of the basketball better. Had 8 turnovers. I should have been better from the free throw line. That's what superstars do. So Luka's showing up, but just not the rest of the team. All right, let's get to the Horn headlines, and then we'll get to this Caitlin Clark story because it was a big one over the weekend. It's still a highly debated topic among basketball fans. Was she deserving of being on the Olympic roster? The all-time leading scorer in college basketball history and the biggest star in women's basketball maybe ever. Was she deserving of being on the roster? We'll discuss it. But first, let's get updated, educated, and informed on all the top stories of the day with Patrick Davis and the Horn Headlines.
All right, your Horn Headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. Texas finished its athletic run for this sports year by winning its third Directors' Cup in the last 4 years. Stanford won the title back last year before Texas was able to get the honor again following the success of Texas golf, softball, and track and field to close out their seasons. The Directors' Cup is an award given to its top overall athletic departments in sports, in all sports, men's and women's, once again solidifying the Longhorns' overall success. And the NBA Celtics took Game 2 of the NBA Finals 105-98 with Luka Doncic posting a 32-point triple-double while he still took blame for the loss after the game, citing his 50% free throw shooting and costly 8 turnovers. Drew Holiday led the way for the Celtics with 26 points on 11 of 14 shooting, but the real story was a smothering Boston defense once again holding the Mavs under 100 points. Kristaps Porzingis, who came up limping in the game, said he feels good about being healthy enough to play in Game 3. The series will now head to Dallas as the Mavericks are in desperate need of a win. In Major League Baseball, the Astros won their series over the Angels over the weekend, but missed a sweep as Trey Cabbage almost stole the walk-off home run with a great catch before losing the ball into the crowd. The Astros will now move on to a series with the Giants, who just won a series against the Rangers, but dropped their Sunday game 7-2. Marcus Semien got another big home run for the Rangers in the game, and the Nathan Eovaldi was able to pick up the win after 7 innings of work. The Rangers now move on to a series with the Dodgers starting Tuesday, and that is your Horn Headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the Horn Headlines. Over the weekend, the women's national team for the Olympics, the upcoming Olympics in Paris, was announced, or leaked. It was actually leaked first, and then ultimately it was announced. And Caitlin Clark was not on the roster. She was not one of the 12 women on the roster. And the report that was given, or at least one of the reports about why this decision was made to leave Caitlin Clark off of the women's national team was, and I'll read it here from USA Today. It says, quote, two other sources, both longtime U.S. basketball veterans with decades of experience in the women's game, told USA Today Sports that concern over how Clark's millions of fans would react to what would likely be limited playing time on a stacked roster was a factor in the decision making. So yeah, that's crazy to me too. Like okay, so I guess the concern would be that she's not going to play that much, and that would be backlash, and then that would be the big story, and not the team itself and their success. Let me just point this out: with U.S. women's basketball, they haven't lost a single game in the Olympics in over 30 years. So they dominate.
Yeah,
they don't need it. They don't need her. Honestly, they don't need her. And you can also make the argument, oh, you could have put her on there because it don't matter who you send, because you still gonna dominate and win. Like, it's not necessarily about we got to have the best roster to win a gold medal. No, you're gonna win a gold medal. Like, that's already decided. But yeah, she's kind of like to me, okay, this is the public narrative, whether this is true or not. And you watch so much damn basketball, you probably do degrees of separation of, soaking up women's basketball knowledge too. So I definitely want to get your thoughts about this, but if she's not one of the 15 best players or whatever, how many women on the roster? Is it 12?
I think
12
it's,
to 15?
I think it's 12 to 15, yeah.
It's like I think it's 12, and then it's like some emergency or whatever. I don't know exactly. So if she's not one of the 12 women that's on the roster, if she's not one of the best 12 women that's on the roster, could you make the argument? Because that's been the case before when they've let collegians on. They've also allowed collegians before to play. We've seen, obviously, the most famous example on the Dream Team's Christian Laettner, who Isaiah Thomas would tell you, not one of the best 12 best basketball players on the planet. Isaiah Thomas would be like, hey, I'm better. I can tell you right now, I'm better. All right. But we've seen this before, and we've seen with the women's game. Actually, crazy part about it, we've seen the women's game with superstars coming out of college, like Rebecca Lobo and Diana Taurasi, who are on the team right now. And Breanna Stewart's another one who made the U.S. team over the years as a collegian. the narrative right now, unfortunately, for women's basketball, and I mean women's basketball, period, because women's basketball was having their moment. They still are having their moment. I mean, we're talking about it right now. You're still having your moment. But is that the league, the women in the league, whether it's true or not, don't like Caitlin Clark. And that they are the reason, just like the guys on the Dream Team didn't want Isaiah Thomas on there. That basically they don't want her on their Olympic team yet, period. That this is something internal. That's it, whether it's true or not, that this is something internally that the ladies don't want her on the team, and that's why she's not on the team. And that's the narrative they got to fight against, because that was also narrative when she's getting hard fouls in the NBA and she's getting hip checked in the WNBA, and there are disparaging remarks made about her in the post game comments from the other players. That the narrative going from that was the big story, is that, oh man, the women don't really like her. They don't like her at all. And like you said, that's just more about, well, she's a rookie. That's any rookie, especially of a big time, considered all time great elite player who's coming in as a rookie. Everybody wants their piece of him or her, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna take my shot at them. So it's a target on their back, no matter what it is. But a lot of the perception for fans who are not necessarily sports fans who don't understand that, they're thinking these ladies don't like her. They don't like her at all. Yeah. And now you're dealing with another audience, the Olympics, who they're not, like I said, they're not traditional sports fans. So they're not following it traditionally, like in giving your take that you're talking about. Like, oh, no, this happens to all elite big time rookies in all sports. If you're coming in, you got a target on your back. They're looking at like the women in the league don't like her. And that the narrative now is also going to shift that the women on this roster didn't want her on this roster, especially now that they're somewhat admitting, or at least the report is admitting, that they were worried about the blowback from the fans if she didn't play a lot.
Yeah, which, I mean, the thought of, well, we'll have blowback for her not playing a lot, so let's not put her on the team and not play her at all. I get it's like a Band-Aid, pull it off, and then it'll be, by the time we play in the Olympics, it'll be over and everything else. I think there's stuff you could say of, you know, if you want to give the other opinion of where you could say there could be a reason for this that's not the more obvious, they didn't like her, and not even that they don't like her, they don't like that she's the most popular player, and they don't feel she's earned it at all. And that's, I think, the biggest thing. They do not feel she's earned the person to be that. They feel we've put our blood, sweat, and tears into this game to make the WNBA what it is, and you waltz in here and suddenly you're the savior and you ain't done nothing yet. That's their viewpoint on it, and I get it, because that's natural human nature. If someone walks in and they make more money than you day one at a job you've been at for 10 years, you're probably not going to like that person. It doesn't matter how nice they are or what they do. Yeah. You're probably going to be like, yeah, you know what? Screw you, man. I've been here 10 years. I made this company. So I get what it is. I think you could look at it as maybe the WNBA could have influence. The WNBA doesn't necessarily want her on there because they want her to focus on the WNBA. And they don't want her to be focusing on anything else because, man, you're giving us TV ratings. You're giving us ticket sales. Everything is based around you. New TV contract. I can't have you going over and worrying about something else right now because we really need you to succeed here so that this could become a viable brand and we'll all make more money. You winning a gold medal doesn't matter. They win a gold medal every year, and it doesn't help the ratings.
That's a great point.
So I think you could say the WNBA possibly could be part of it, saying don't go. You don't need that. Don't keep her off of it so we can keep her here, and maybe this will even motivate her to push even more and become the player we need her to be in the WNBA and start to play better and better. And you know, as time goes on, she'll get better and she'll fit into it, and teams will stop face guarding her all the time. Because the problem is when you're on a bad team, they can do that because they're not worried. It's like we talked about the Mavs. They're not worried about anybody else scoring. So they just go, we just shut down this one person and we'll be fine.
You're right.
And so it's a different thing once the team can maybe get better or whatever the situation is. But I think that's the other alternative. If you want to spin a narrative that is not just that the rest of the players on the team don't necessarily want to spend a bunch of time answering questions about Caitlin Clark, which you're going to have to do anyway. But they maybe don't want to sit there and go, well, she only played 2 minutes, but she hit 4 threes. They go, we all hit 4 threes. We're playing against nobodies out there.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you're right about that. That's a great theory, though. The WNBA is like, nah, man, we need her. She's our brand now. She's our brand.
She's extremely important to us being able to make the money we want.
But yes, I totally agree. But you can, yeah, that's a great point. Oh, you're right about that. That's a nice little theory. I love that theory. But man, this is such a moment for women's basketball. We all
I
agree,
agree.
right? You've been in this industry for a long time. We've never talked this much women's basketball. She's America. She was America's gateway into women's basketball for like a generation of fans. And it just seems a shame that you wouldn't allow her to have the same appeal to an international base of fans.
Yeah.
And then you could bring, and then that's obviously growing your fan base and growing the sport overall, but also growing the brand of the WNBA. So I don't know. I think ultimately, because I don't know why they did it. Nobody really knows. I mean, that's just a report that says that that's one thing they were worried about. I'm sure it's multifactorial. I think it's a fail. I think it's a failure on their part. Whatever the reason.
Because as bad as it is, WNBA and professional women's basketball has failed itself for years and years.
Yeah.
Because they always want to market themselves as we play good fundamental basketball. We do this and we do this better than the men. And they go, but no one's ever going to see it that way.
Yeah.
So stop. We need to make more money because we're not. Well, you're not making money though. Like you can't. I get it. We need to get there, but there's ways to do it, and just grinding your head and just pushing the same narrative over and over, and it's not working is never going to change that. So
this is working.
And this is working. So embrace it and go with it. And that's the NBA has fought things and fought progress in times, and then they start to allow it, and all of a sudden people love it. And it was when they didn't want to slam dunk for years.
Yeah.
And then dunks happening out there in every highlight reel, and that's the whole.
Yeah.
The game. They didn't have
want the ABA culture. Remember that? Yeah, they didn't want
the 3-point line, and people some people still don't dislike it because they're of a different generation. But now there's a whole generation of players who love the 3-point line. It's a different part of the game. Like you have to embrace those changes and go with it. And the WNBA has been based so far on this is what we've built through years and years of hard work. And you go, yes, I get that, but nobody cared. And so we have to continue. When I say nobody cares, I get that's a gross overstatement. There's always been WNBA fans.
About the ratings. No, this is
but in terms
the
of
ratings boom, though.
And then in terms of ratings, this is the way to do it. And so you have to embrace that at a certain point. And so if I was the Olympic committee, I go, all right, you're fired. Everyone who just selected teams, everyone is fired. I'll let Caitlin Clark pick the team. I don't care. We're gonna win. Everyone who's fired, you're idiots. Because I get you say you don't want that, but if you don't want Caitlin Clark to be the best, and if you don't feel that you can put her on the team and still outshine her, then give up. I don't care. Like that's the whole point of competitive athletics. You want to put people around you that are great because it makes you better. Like listen, go watch that dream team and hear how every player on that team got better as a player because of how competitive that was on the dream team. Why would you not want to put somebody on? And if she doesn't play, she's not on there, and she's not the stuff. You want her to get better. You want to teach her because you want her to succeed. Because the more she succeeds, the better for the league, which means better for you. Because now your next contract is going to be worth $25 million. And you know what? That job you want afterwards, covering the WNBA, guess what? That pays more now too. You want a coaching job? That pays more now too. All those jobs around women's basketball make more money. Even if you're not going to get that big contract because it's not going to happen until you're retired. I get it in one sense. I get you don't like the person coming in and that you got to answer questions about it. We played the clip of Kyrie Irving when the first question was about LeBron. He's like, first question?
Yeah, really?
I get that it sucks that that's the way the media is. At the end of the day, man, you have to try and embrace the fact that you got a godsend of people caring about a sport that has been struggling to find that niche for 20 years.
Come on, man.
That it's a sport that is advertising the WNBA finals many times, and everyone you talk to goes, "Oh, the season's happening." Didn't even know the season was happening.
The draft's happening. What's going on there? Yeah,
and now we know about it. We're talking about it because of her. And I get as unfair as that may be, life is not fair, and you have to embrace the changes when you can find them.
It is like I said, I cannot believe it, man. It is a gross miscalculation. I think it's gross imbecility. I don't know what it is. That's crazy, man. You talk about the biggest star in women's basketball, college or pro, in the last 20 something years, 30 years, maybe even the biggest period. And they don't want to put her on the Olympic team, on the Olympic roster. And by the way, ironically, she had her best game. Like the game before this story leaked,
yeah,
she had her best game of the season. She had 30. She had 30 points against the Mystics. She had 7 3-pointers. She set a WNBA record. That was Friday. She was 8 of 15, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals. She did have 8 turnovers. She's a youngster still. But she had her best game ever.
Yeah.
And then literally the next day, this story broke. She did say they called her prior to let her know about the news. But guys, considering, and I'll give you some stats. Okay, so games featuring Caitlin Clark have averaged over 1 million viewers for the WNBA. Games not featuring her are averaging a little over 400,000 viewers. And the WNBA viewership period last season drew an average of 300,000 fans. So she has boosted the overall viewership of the WNBA, but her games are getting over 1 million viewers on that. And how about this? That game, she had the 30-point game, her best game so far as a rookie. They beat the Washington Mystics. They had to move that game. All right, they had to move that game from their normal 4,200 seat arena to the Capital One Arena, which seats 20,000, over 20,000. However, they had 16,000 extra seats as a result of that after moving that, because obviously that's the difference in the capacity. The tickets sold out in 30 minutes. It sold out in 30 minutes. The extra 16,000 tickets
and that's
sold out in 30 minutes, and then she went off in front of this record crowd.
And
it was
again,
the most attended WNBA game in 17 years.
And again, I get if there's people, and we got people on the text line. She's not a top 12 player. It's a white and black thing. She's a ball.
I don't
hog.
give a damn what it is.
I don't care.
I'm about exactly. I don't give a
about
damn what it
the
is.
money, because
It's
the
about
talent
Yes.
will rise to the top. If you're the good guy, first of all, you should want to be the good guy in this story, because guess what? The WNBA doesn't need 14 teams of villains and Caitlin Clark. That's a dumb narrative, and that's what the narrative is right now.
Yeah, it's like she's like Drake now, and like going up against the entire rap world for some reason. I don't understand. It's like what's going on?
Because Caitlin Clark's going to win this because you come off looking poorly in it. And I get it. It's stupid. It's wrong. It's unfair. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
This is what the narrative is. And if you fit into it and go, no, we want Caitlin Clark to be the best. I think Caitlin Clark, the best Caitlin Clark, and let's go out there and I want to play her and I want to beat her on the court every time. But I want to support her the best way, but I'll go beat her on the court. Have that narrative and be that person. And I get, like, I get Diana Taurasi got too much grief early on for what she said. She was right. But I just think there's been very little embracing of the thing that they've been asking for 15 years now, for people to watch their games, for people to pay money, and they finally get it. It's blatantly because of one thing.
And it's like Mean Girls all of a sudden.
And they're all mad. Well, I want it, but not that way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what is going on?
Well, I didn't want it's like someone winning the lottery and complaining about the taxes. It's found money. It's found money.
Exactly.
Take it.
Take it. That's a great. Hey, speaking of found money, that game we just talked about, the most attended game in 17 years, where she went off for 30 points, and they moved the arena and sold out the seats in 30 minutes. Both of those teams, the combined record, 3-20. The teams weren't even good. No. So they're not even going to see the team. Nobody gets damn about the teams. They get damn about the record. They're going to see her. They want to see her. And she went off. She was great. By the way, it was the first ever $1 million plus gate for the Mystics. They had never had $1 million. They had never made $1 million in a gate. They're making more money. More people are watching than ever before. How about this? I looked up some of the attendance. Here's some of the attendance that I saw for some of the weekend games for Caitlin. This was actually last week because I was doing some research on it. 7,000, it was 7,600, 4,000, 9,878, 7,000, 3,265, 10,000, 7,024. Those are some attendance numbers for WNBA games. But Caitlin Clark's past games, I just told you, one was that she 20,000, and then there was a 17,000 before that, and then 17,401 before that. She's damn near doubling the amount, sometimes tripling the amount of attendance. So attendance is up, viewership is up. I don't understand what's happening.
Found money, and you're mad about it. You're mad about it because it ain't the right way. This ain't the way I want it. Just take it. Just take it. I get it.
With you.
Like, it's because crazy, the more people watch the game, the more they'll find other players they like, and they'll find you'll get there, but you're getting the spotlight on. You can't spit in the face of it. No, we want her out of the league. We want it to go back the way it was. By the way, we also want a lot more money. We want charter flights. We want it to be on TV more, but we want to do it without her. Okay, well she's gone. Hey man, all right, she's gone. Guess what? You're back to exactly where you were. Get back on. Get back and coach. I
with
get
the
it.
gin pop.
With the gin pop. I get it's just it blows my mind. If someone comes on our airwaves and gets better ratings than us and it raises our ship, I'm fine with it.
Oh, I'm bringing them in. I'm gonna
Come
bring
on
them in and give them the microphone. Come on in. Come on in here.
I'm fine
Hell
with
yeah,
it.
you're damn right. That's right. Everybody makes more money. Everybody's getting more exposure. I'm
Yeah.
cool with it. Yeah, I don't understand what's going on, and they deserve all of the negative blowback they get as a result of it. And like I said, they've been dominating the Olympics for 30 years, and nobody's giving a damn. I haven't watched one women's national
All you got to watch is the first 4 minutes.
Olympics. I haven't watched any of it.
It's watched for
I haven't
first
watched
4
any of
minutes
the
and
women's
it's
national
over.
team in the
Yeah,
Olympics.
as you
Not the
see
basketball
highlights, they're
team.
bad. They're bad. The highlights are bad. But no, I mean, hey, look, it's found money. You got to appreciate it. And I get it. She may not be the best 12. She may not. It does not matter.
It doesn't matter.
This is you guys are trying to make sports about something in 2024.
It's entertainment. It's entertainment. And that's why you got to it's entertainment. They put Christian Laettner on that damn dream team. He wasn't better than Isaiah Thomas.
No.
Y'all know that, all right?
No, but they didn't like Isaiah.
They made a decision. They made a decision. It was like, this guy's blowing up, man. I'm telling you, putting him on the team. Really? Over Isaiah Thomas? Yeah, put him on the team. They can make any decision they want to. This is not about meritocracy, even though they wanted to make it about that. They could. This is about something else. And I said, by the way, Caitlin Clark told her coach at the time she got the news, "Hey, coach, they woke a monster." This was after she had a 30-point game and she got the news. So good, exactly.
Hey,
good.
Keep getting better. Keep getting better. And look, rest of the league. Keep beating her. I don't care. I don't really have a dog in the fight. I want the game to be better, and it feels like it's headed in a better place right now.
Exactly.
I don't really care about her. Just saying, I'd rather be the game to be in a good place. And I love basketball. I'd love to be able to get the game to a place where it was more enjoyable for me to watch.
She's the catalyst right now, man.
Yeah.
She's the catalyst. She really is. Like that's and we're talking more women's basketball than we ever have. She has been the gateway to that. Yes. And I don't know why the ladies want to embrace it, but actually, I know why. I know why, and I'm actually glad they push back in that. There's some, villains now, and villains create conflict, and conflict creates storylines. But this is way too far. Not making Olympic team. That's too far. That when they were hip checking them, cool with that. When they were actually making disparaging comments, I'm cool with being petty. I'm all about petty. That's cool. That's fine.
But not the whole league. Not everyone but her.
Come on. Yeah, that's true too. I don't want everyone but her. But it is, I would say, Angel Reese and her, that's good. I'm going back and forth. Yeah. But the Olympic Committee keeping her off the team, that's just ridiculous. Like I said, that's gross imbecility. They are literally sabotaging their own sport.
Their own best interest.
No sense.
Shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah. It's like yes, exactly. You know what? We see people do that all the time. People vote against their own self-interest.
They do.
A lot of the time. And we see that. And they do it with a lot of pride, unfortunately. All right. We'll come back. We'll get into Rod's Round the Day. That was a nice rant by Patrick and I. We'll get into the Rod's Round the Day. We'll talk about worst to first and first to worst. This is a story that happens a lot in the NFL. We'll discuss what teams may be looking at that potential path this upcoming season. All of that and more right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis coming back on the horn. Welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get into Rod's rant of the day. I want to talk a little NFL here. I got a couple of stories I want to get into, but we may have to table one for a little bit later on the show if we don't have time. But I always look at the worst to first stories in the NFL. And this is how the NFL sells hope, right? They keep selling hope to all the fan bases because every fan base believes that they can go from worst in that division to first in their division because they've seen it. You've seen it in the NFL. I believe 19 of the last 21 years. The NFL has had a worst to first team in the NFL. Last year, the Texans went from worst in division to winning the division. Right? So it's one of those things where if you see it and observe it, especially in your own division of your team, or you say team in the division that obviously plays against your team year after year, you start to believe, okay, now we can do this, and that's one of the NFL's big selling points. Is that, hey man, there's always hope for you. The draft represents hope for you. The combine represents hope for you. You can go from worst to first. So this year, and I also because of that, that means a lot of teams are going to go from first to worst. You can also have that precipitous drop. So I want to talk about the teams who are most likely to go from worst to first, and then the other first to worst in the NFL. If you look for the teams who were the most likely, I think, team this year that to go from worst to first. Might be the Bengals, because the Bengals were
injury.
Last, but that division was brutal, though.
It is, and Joe Burrow was hurt for most of the season.
Joe Burrow, I was going to say, so they're the most likely to do it because of that, but I don't know if they can do it because that division is brutal. I mean, that division, you got the Ravens, the Browns. Who knows if Deshaun Watson ever finds his groove, but they have that winning with
and
Joe
can
Flacco
stay on the field.
And can stay on the field. But if he does and finds his groove again, that Browns, that might be one of the most talented rosters in the league. And then, of course, you got the Steelers. Steelers are struggling a little bit, but still, they're the Steelers. They're not going to be an easy win. This may be one of those years where it's really tough to find a team that goes from worst to first. The Bears in that division, but you got the Packers.
Yeah.
You got the Lions. You got the Lions and the Packers. I don't see that happening. They could, but I don't see that happening. New England.
No,
maybe.
No.
Who's
their quarterback? Drake May.
Drake May.
Yeah. They don't have an O-line. They don't have a wide receiver. They don't have a deep. They don't have anything. They're completely rebuilding that team. And so unless Gerard Mayo turns out to be D'Amico Ryans 2.0 and all of that,
Drake May turns out to be CJ Stroud.
Then I do not see both of those things happening again.
Because you are a fan of the Texans, and nobody saw them winning the division and winning a playoff game. Rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. I'm with you. It's not happening. But still, I'm just saying the Texans. We didn't see that happening. Washington. I don't see that happening. Philly, Dallas. I don't see that happening. I don't see Washington making that move. Tennessee. No, I don't see them making that move either because I think the Texans and Jacksonville, and I like the Colts too. I think the Colts actually are a better team than Tennessee. I think all three of those teams are better than Tennessee. I don't see that happening.
I will say there is a team that I think the Chargers have a possibility of it solely in the fact that that division other than the Chiefs is really weak. So they can win games in that, and then it comes down to if they have a really, really good season, then I still think the Chiefs are really good, but I think they're in the conversation. If you want to say the teams that are most likely, it's the Bengals first, but that's a really tough division. But the Chargers only have to beat out the Chiefs. They don't have to beat out any other teams. And you say Harbaugh's there now. You still have players. It's just always been coaching that has been really bad there. So if you say there's players there, you have some health, you may be able to turn that around. So if we're talking about the coach being added, they do have the quarterback apparently in Justin Herbert.
I do. I love me some Harbaugh, and I love Herbert too. I love them both.
So I'd say that's a possibility. None of them are good. None of them are.
No, you're right. No, these are good. That's a good point. No, it's a good one. If you're thinking, because listen, the Chiefs have won that division 8 years in a row.
Yeah,
like they have dominated. So you're talking about even pre-Mahomes, they were dominating this damn division. So at one point, I guess I could see the Chiefs finishing second in the division, and still winning double digits.
But that's the thing is they won. So the Chiefs won 11 games last year, right?
Well, I say I can see
so
them
12 when a 12 when Chiefs Chargers team wins that division.
That's what I say.
And that's realistic.
Second, it is realistic. It's not crazy. I just think the Chiefs might be better this year.
I think they will be too.
Snead, but the wide receiving core is going to be better, I think, this year. But we'll see. You're right, but the Chargers will be better. Chargers have been a mess. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Chargers have been absolute disaster in that division, but they've been loaded with talent. Now they got good coaching. Herbert's I'm trying to combine them like a celebrity couple. Herbar, but Harbert. But no, I think they listen. I'm talking all about the Holy Trinity, right? You got the quarterback, you got the head coach, you got the GM. They got the head coach and the quarterback. Not sure about the GM, but I think I love Harbaugh and I like Herbert's game, so I like that. Honestly, of these ones that we're listing, because I don't think it's the Bengals and the Chargers might be the most likely, because the Cardinals ain't doing it. Not in that division with the 49ers and the Rams and the Seahawks.
No.
That ain't happening. So this is one of those years where it's not likely, actually, that you
No,
have a team
I mean,
go worse to
and
first.
we can say,
but like I said, the Texans surprised everybody last year. Nobody saw that.
and then,
coming,
yeah, you can technically throw Carolina that we don't think it's a turnaround. We don't think it was necessary that Dave Canales is going to flip it around and Bryce Young is going to be this great season this year. But that division sucks.
That gets to the other conversation. No, start there. No, you're a good point. So what are the teams most likely to go from first to worst then? Maybe that gives us a better clue or insight as to, all right, then where can we see the most transition, in what division we see the most transition?
Yeah.
Who has the highest likelihood to go, highest probability to go from first to worst? I think you may have the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay?
It could be. I mean, Baker's there. Baker did well last year, but if it was Dave Canales' system, and
yeah, you're right. Canales,
depending on how that system, we know that Baker can't keep a coach. Because he's either
he's
too
a woman
good.
that can't keep a man.
Well, no,
he can't keep a coach.
Because if Baker plays well, he loses his coach, and if Baker plays poorly, he loses his coach.
No, I did this math one time. He's had like 9 OCs or something like that.
But they're not all fired because they're bad. But he has coaches that he has a great season. Everybody goes, well, that's not Baker, that's the coach, and they hire the coach away.
Yeah,
and that was Dave.
No, you're right. He has. This is really bad luck. He has had a ton of time. I don't know if there's a quarterback in the NFL, a starting quarterback that there's not. There can't be, that has had as many offensive coordinators and play callers as Baker Mayfield. Nobody. So you're right about that. That's a good point.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like that's the only division you could really say first to worst.
First to worst. Yeah, first to worst. I agree. That's a big drop off. That's a precipitous fall. I don't know if you get too many of those, but you may teams that may not finish first. I mean, the Cowboys are in that category pretty easily. Out with you, Tampa's in that category. San Fran strong, Detroit strong, but they got to watch out for Green Bay. Kansas City, like you said, maybe they got to watch out for Harbert and Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. The Texans. Honestly, Texans, I could see them not winning that division. Yeah. I mean, that could happen.
Very easily. I don't think they drop to worst in that division, but I think they could not win it. For sure. Buffalo is 100% in that conversation, because if you say a healthy Aaron Rodgers, if Miami does take that step up, they tied last year at 11-6. Yeah. So you could say now that Buffalo had to give up a lot of pieces on that roster because their salary cap issues, that they could easily slide from winning it to, second or third. I don't think they fall below New England, but
yeah, like I said, unless New England, like you said, let's say got a D'Amico Ryans, CJ Stroud situation there, which we hadn't seen in 100 years. So good luck with that. Good luck with that, Patriots fans. All right. Yeah, there you go. So I don't know if you get, this is one of those rare years where I'm not sure you get a worst to first story or a first to worst either way. You got some strong contenders in those divisions, but the Cowboys, they're not a little worse in that division. They can't do that. But there hasn't been more turnover. There's been more turnover in that division in terms of champions in the NFC East than any other division in football. Every year that seems like there's a new champion in the NFC East. So you can expect, and the Cowboys, like I said, have done really well in that division, but it seems like more and more, probably for the last maybe going on 20 years, that there's always a new NFC East champion year after year. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into what the stats on the other side. Got a few facts and stats to share with you about Texas winning Directors Cup, how they actually match up against one of their rivals. Also, NBA final stats as well. All of that and more right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Babers coming back on the horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a great city. It's one of the reasons people keep moving to Austin, making it one of the fastest growing cities in America. And as our city continues to grow and thrive, so do our friends over at Ironworkers Local Union 482. Many of the iconic landmarks we love in this city were created and built by the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local Union 482, like the Pennybacker Bridge and DKR Stadium. The folks over at Ironworkers Local 482 don't just go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting employment opportunity or a refreshing career change or a new challenge, or you just want to feel valued by your employer, you can become a valued member of this prestigious organization, Ironworkers Local 482. And right now is the perfect time to do it. They're hiring over 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas. They're offering competitive wages, competitive benefits, a pension plan. They even offer training for unskilled labor through their apprenticeship program. So right now it's the perfect time for you to become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. So maximize your potential and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself by going online to apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time for What the Facts, What the Stats. According to Directors Cup updates at direct_cup dates, I like that. Says here Texas and Oklahoma compete in 19 of the same sports. Oklahoma has 3 sports, Texas does not. They have men's and women's gym and wrestling. Texas competes in rowing and men's swimming, no fencing. So obviously there is not a crossover in all the sports, but considering only the 19 sports that overlap, the Directors Cup score for Texas versus Oklahoma in their sports would be Texas 1,233, Oklahoma 596. So that's how you match up against your rival in the Directors Cup totals. So congrats to Texas winning their Directors Cup in a right now athletic department right now for Texas in a different stratosphere than most in the country, winning 3 out of the last 4 Directors Cups. In the NBA Finals, Drew Holiday showed up and had a really impressive game. 2 for the Boston Celtics, was 11 of 14, 0 turnovers. So in games 1 and 2 now, that's why Drew Holiday, in my opinion, may be the front runner for MVP of the series just through the first 2 games. He has 38 points, 19 rebounds, 8 assists, and 0 turnovers through the first 2 games of the NBA Finals. The last player with at least 38 points and 0 turnovers in the first 2 games of the NBA Finals, Michael Jordan, 1998. Ladies and gentlemen, 0 turnovers. Come on, man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah, that's like I said, that dude is
ridiculous
he's
numbers.
playing at a different level. Also, somebody else who's on a different level. We haven't talked a lot about this guy. We should have though. Scotty Scheffler.
Yes,
He won again. This guy won the Memorial Tournament. So you're talking about in 2024, he's won Arnold Palmer, the Players Championship, the Masters, RBC Heritage, and the Memorial Tournament. Hell, going back to 2022, you got to go back Phoenix Open, Arnold Palmer. He won the Dale Match Play, Masters Tournament. He won the Masters 2022, Phoenix Open again in 2023, Players Championship in 2023, and then starts the 2024 season for him. I mean, this dude is on a tear. This is after he went to jail for a little while too. Got some street cred.
And has a baby.
And had a baby, so he ain't sleeping that much.
No,
Man.
not between his life of crime and being a father.
That is unbelievable. Oh, here's some more. I got some more Scheffler stats for you then. Fastest to 5 win. If you look at the fastest player since 1970 to get 5 wins in the calendar year, he is the 3rd fastest. Yeah, June 9th is when he got, obviously this past weekend, he got his 5th win of the year, of the calendar year. 1974, Johnny Miller did it. April 28th. And 1980, Tom Watson did it by May 11th. Tiger Woods did it in 2000, but June 18th was when he got his 5th win of the year. So Scotty Scheffler on a better pace than Tiger was in 2000. He also was over 24 million in official earnings this season. Yeah, he's 12 million ahead of second place. He's he's got he is Xander Schauffele is second with 12, so he's 12.4 million ahead of him in second place. And it's just the 3rd time since 1950 that a player will enter a U.S. Open having already won at least 5 times that season, including a major. Arnold Palmer did it in 1960. He won after being 7 back entering the final round. 1962, Arnold Palmer did it again. And he lost a playoff to Jack Nicklaus. No shame in that. And then you have, of course, 2024, Scotty Scheffler. Sheffy. Players who have won the Masters, the Players, and the Memorial in their careers are Scotty Scheffler, Tiger Woods, Fred Couples, Raymond Floyd, and Jack Nicklaus. Scheffler and Tiger Woods are the only players to win all 3 in the same calendar year.
It's it's good company to be in.
Dude, he is on a tear right now.
Yeah, he's playing next level golf right now.
It really is, man. Like I said, I think it's the best run since Tiger. It's got to be, right?
It is.
Nobody's been on a run like this.
Are they going to have to Scotty proof things?
There you go. That's a great point. I don't know. Ask those cops. I'm just kidding. All right. All right, we'll come back. We'll get to some NBA Finals discussion. Mavs find themselves down 2-0 in the series. We'll dive into that. We'll also talk about the Directors Cup. Texas, once again, claiming a Directors Cup, and we'll get behind the burn orange curtain. Texas hired a new special assistant to the head coach. We'll give you his background. We'll also talk about why is Texas earning the nickname Lambeau U. We'll get into that on the other side right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers coming back on the Horn. Hmm. Welcome back to the Rodcast, a smooth soul Monday edition of the Rodcast. That's when my co-host, the Ideallionaire, Patrick Davis, comes up with all the musically themed days of the week. But his intention on a smooth soul Monday is to make the transition from the stress-filled or into the stress-filled, hectic work week, to make that transition from the fun times and the good times of the weekend to make it a little less stressful. Before Monday slaps you in the face, my man Patrick wants to make sure it's a smooth transition for you. So he calls it a smooth soul Monday. And we appreciate that. Also appreciate the topics that he brings to the table for the big fat poll of the day. And right now, my man Patrick's going to let you know what the topic is for the big fat poll of the day.
Big fat poll of the day today, going into game 3s and 4 of the NBA Finals. Which player on the Celtics scares you the most? Which player do you think is going to be the one? Jason Tatum finally getting a little love on the vote on X. he was the last player to get a vote. Oh, it's Jason Tatum. Apparently, people are not that scared that Tatum is going to figure it out and have his game finally. You're hoping that Kyrie Irving does it, but I did not put Derek White. I could only put 4 up there, so I put up Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and Jrue Holiday. Derek White could be your option too. We could know he could go off, but who do you think is going to go off and worry the Celtics or worry the Mavs in game 3 and 4? Who scares you the most from the Celtics team? Because surprisingly, it hasn't been Tatum and Brown have not been the guys killing it so far. It's been some of the auxiliary players, the guys you wouldn't expect. They have been the dominant forces so far.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's been the other guys that have really played a huge role. Kristaps Porzingis in that game 1 had that stretch in the first quarter, that first 7 minutes he came in.
Yeah.
He was the best player on the floor. And then Jrue Holiday, of course, what he did last night, which was unbelievable. He was the best player for the Celtics, led them in scoring. And those are probably the guys the Mavs were hoping would have to beat them. And that's exactly what they did. So there you go. That's the topic for the big fat poll today. Go check it out. I think Jrue Holiday right now is the one that's kind of scaring me. I mean, that's like you say, he's got the experience too.
Yeah.
That's also something. He's got the experience. He's been there, done that. And of course, we just saw he's definitely got just the ability to hurt you on both ends of the floor. No, as a defender, he can be elite, but then when he starts being an efficient scorer, 0 turnovers in the first 2 games, yeah, that's a scary thought for Mavs fans. All right, there you go. Big fat poll today. Which player on the Celtics squad scares you the most? And if you got a hot take about that, you can just leave that in the comment section there at the Horn ATX account on X. All right, let's get the Horn headlines. Let's get updated, educated, and informed with all the top stories of the day. And then we'll dive into the NBA Finals game 2 a little bit, and also talk about Texas once again getting national recognition for excellence from their athletic department, winning the Directors Cup throughout the last 4 years. But first, let's get the Horn headlines from Patrick Davis.
All right, the Horn headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. Texas finished its athletic run for the sports year by winning its 3rd Directors Cup in the last 4 years. Stanford won the title back last year before Texas was able to get the honor again following the success of Texas golf, softball, and track and field to close out their seasons. The Directors Cup is an award given to the top overall athletic department in all sports, men's and women's, once again solidifying the Longhorns' overall success. In the NBA, the Celtics took Game 2 of the Finals 105-98 with Luka Doncic posting a 32-point triple-double, but he still took blame for the loss after the game, citing his 50% free throw shooting and costly 8 turnovers. Jrue Holiday led the way for the Celtics with 26 points on 11 of 14 shooting, but the real story was the smothering Boston defense, once again holding the Mavs under 100 points. Kristaps Porzingis, who came up limping in the game, said he feels good about being healthy enough to play in Game 3. The series will now head to Dallas as the Mavericks are in the desperate need of a win. In Major League Baseball, the Astros won their series over the Angels over the weekend, but missed a sweep as Trey Cabbage almost stole the walk-off home run with a great catch before losing the ball into the crowd. The Astros will now move on to a series with the Giants, who just won a series against the Rangers, but dropped their game Sunday 7-2. Marcus Semien got another big home run in that game for the Rangers, and Nathan Eovaldi was able to pick up the win after 7 innings of work. The Rangers now move on to a series with the Dodgers starting Tuesday, and that is your Horn headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the horn headlines. And yes, the Mavs once find themselves down 2-0 in this series. And Drew Holiday, he was the guy. He called himself a utility guy, actually, in the post game, which that's not how he played. 11 of 14, team high 26 points. I gave you the stat earlier. He's got 38 points in the first two games of these finals, and he's got 0 turnovers. The last player to have at least 38 points and 0 turnovers in the first two games of the finals was Michael Jordan in 1998. Oh, in addition to that, he's got 19 rebounds and 8 assists. And on the defensive end, he's been a defensive stopper for him. So he's doing it all. And I think right now he probably might be in the running to be the MVP of these finals if he keeps this up. And even on the poll for the big fat poll today, I believe he is tied for the lead for the player that scares people the most in this series on that Celtic squad. Yeah, I mean it's I think comforting that you've been able to somewhat thwart the superstars of the Celtics. Jason Tatum has actually had a bad series so far. He's 12 of 38. As you point out, Jaylen Brown hadn't gone off. He hadn't been bad, but he hasn't necessarily gone off in this series yet. So if you're the Mavs, I guess, some of your defensive strategy is working with those guys. And maybe the whole point was, no, we're going to have to let the other guys beat us. We ain't going to let Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the two J's, the stars of the squad, they're not going to beat us. We got a plan for them. And maybe the plan has worked, and the other players who your role players have not necessarily been able to be effective defending their role players, as you point out, and we all know they got better role players, period, because it's a deeper squad. But maybe that's comforting, but if they don't get Kyrie to step up, and I think Kyrie, last time I looked at, I think he is 13 of 37 I point in the first two games of these finals. If he doesn't step up 4 more, and he had an okay first half in game 2, but he was kind of non-existent for them offensively in the second half of that game. If they don't get more from Kyrie, and man, they better. They get more from Kyrie, and they continue to have this type of defensive impact on the two stars from the Celtics. I think they can win game 3, but they got to get more from Kyrie. And by the way, Kyrie did tell the Celtics fans that he would be back for game 5. He did say that.
Yeah.
On his way out.
He
did say 5. Yeah, he'd be back for 5. Yeah, so hopefully that motivation for Kyrie.
He wants to, and I get that. You can have all the motivation. He's been trying to put himself in the mindset that this is not bothering him and it doesn't have a problem, but it does. And it's not just that it's Boston. I'm sure that it is a lot of it, but it's also that they have 2 players that play against him very well. And Drew Holiday and Derek White, they both guard him very well. So he's aware that not only am I going into a place where I'm extremely hated and going into a place where I've not had success. So I don't really care about the hate so much as that I don't have success, but it just compounds on it. Because every time you miss a shot and everybody laughs at you, and everyone's like, you're right, you are bad. We should have gotten rid of you. That always kind of is going to bother you. And then, just knowing that every time you lose a battle to Derek White, you're like, man, how does he have my number? How does this guy constantly have my number? And at a certain point, you just have to get out of that mindset and reset yourself, which is hard to do, but changing venue helps. And so you hope that going back home, changing the venue, getting back on your home court, hopefully that is able to kind of get you out of it. Maybe you're able to get to the line a little bit more. Maybe you're able to get some, plays around the rim and just get back into it. I think what's hurt him too is normally what he does, if that three's not falling, he's able to drive in, but they've been collapsing really well on when he's driving, and he gets into double, triple coverage. And so he's not able to get the shots up he wants to get around the rim either, where he's a great finisher. So he's just having a hard time getting those double, triple coverage that he's got to kick the ball back out. And he's normally, I want to throw it to the corners, but they're playing those passing lanes. And he's just got to go back and get out of his head for probably a day here and get away from basketball for a minute. And he's, I know he's the guy who's walking around with the basketball in his hand the whole time. And you just go, put the basketball away for a minute. Just reset. Yeah. Get back in your regular mindset. Get away from that. This is the Celtics. Get away from it's the finals. Get away from everything, and just go back to playing basketball again. And I think you'll be a little bit better off. But as long as he wants to stay in this, I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to be mentally strong enough to do it. just really hard to do when you're constantly thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's no doubt. I mean, it's in his head. He's 0-12 Kyrie's last 12 games against the Celtics too. So it's something he's got to get over. And he's a great player, so nobody doubting that. But there seems to be a mental block against the Celtics for him, and he's got to figure that out. But one of the things that I was also looking at for the Mavs that they got to figure out their 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
They also, in addition to Kyrie, they're going to need Kyrie to step up. But, man, they were 23% from 3-point range. Luka had 4. Everyone else had just 2.
Yeah.
Man, they gotta find some way not to be so Luka centric. I know that's tough, but that also comes with Kyrie, and it comes with the guys hitting their open shots from 3-point range. They do that, spread things out, and then they're not able to collapse. You just talked about why Kyrie can't just get to the rim because they collapse so easily.
Exactly.
Well, it's because they're not necessarily threatened by the 3-point shot or 3-point efficiency of this team. They're like, well, he's got to shoot 23%. Let him get that open look. We'd rather him getting that look than getting the easier look in the lane here. And that's something else they got to figure out. They got to be more efficient from 3-point range. So, I mean, Luka did. I think Luka did his part. Luka was great. 32 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, 4 steals. He had 8 turnovers, and he wasn't efficient from the free throw line, and he owned that, by the way. That's what superstars do. When you lose, it's on me. When we win, it's a we, and that's exactly what he did. He said it was on him. But man, he's getting no help. He's playing hero ball right now.
And that's the problem is, PJ Washington's not playing terrible. He's playing good defense. He's not playing horribly offensively, but he's doing enough for what he needs to do if Kyrie's there. And Derek Jones is doing enough if Kyrie's there. Daniel Gafford's doing enough if Kyrie's there. The problem is if Kyrie's not there, all those guys then have to step up, and none of them are able to get over that. But all of them scored in double digits. That's all you really want out of those guys. You'd like PJ to have probably 3 more points, hit 1 more 3 and have 20. That would help you out, but that doesn't win you the game. The reality is you can't have Kyrie Irving take 18 shots and have 16 points. That you can't have. Because, you talk about efficiency for Luka, but, you get sucked at it. Complete efficiency suck if Kyrie Irving's going to shoot more times than he hits shots. And him and Tatum have done that now 2 games in a row where they put up more shots than points. And that's just always going to, start to lead to disaster. And for the Celtics, Tatum can have a bad game and 4 other guys are going to step up, where if Luka has a bad game in this, it's not going to be within 20 because Kyrie has just not been able to be at the level he needs to be at. I mean, and, Derek Lively has been an X factor. You think about that in a 7-point game. You think Derek Lively's been a guy who had 2 points in the game. He just hasn't been able to get effective. It looks like he's getting frustrated because they're playing him much better than Minnesota did. Minnesota never really made the adjustments to stop him. They wanted to stop Luka, so they've let Derek Lively do what he does. They're letting Luka get shots off around the rim. They just don't want those lobs, and they're stopping it. And without that, Lively isn't able to get there. And rebounding, he hasn't been dominant either. I think there's part of it that he got in foul trouble in game 1. He was really worried about getting in foul trouble in game 2. He doesn't want to get into it, but he has 1 foul in game 2. So when you're getting into the second half and you go, well, man, I got 1, go play.
Too cautious.
Yeah, let's go play. Let's go play basketball. Let me go for these rebounds. Let me get into it. He played a little bit too cautiously as well. And that's a growing experience, but I think this is the biggest factor you look at of the Mavs. They built this team. I think they thought they were going to compete. I don't think they thought they maybe get as far as they got this year. And they're just they're a couple pieces short. They're a couple veterans short.
Yep.
And if you could add a couple more veterans to this team right now of guys where I like Maxi Kleber plenty, but if you have a guy instead of Maxi coming in who maybe has a little bit more experience in the finals or the playoffs and can come in and bring you more than, 0 for 4 and 0 for 2 from 3, 2 rebounds, 4 fouls from Kleber. That's not the line you need to have right there. If someone comes in and they get you 10 off the bench, and get you some good rebounds, some assists, just, not a great line, but plays you 20 minutes a game. That's a huge piece for them coming off. Dante Exum, he's been a great restoration project, but it's a little big. The scene's a little big for him there. Josh Green is a guy you're trying to build up. You really want him to be a guy, but this is at the time of the season where you don't want to be playing those kind of Well, we think the potential's there. You're better off in a Celtics way if they're playing Hauser and Pritchard, where those guys can be. Look, we know what they are. Their ceiling is we know what it is, but they're going to go out there and hustle. So Josh Green can do fine, but I think he's going to try and be a star where those guys know they don't have to be. They're just happy to shoot threes, and they fit into what that system is. So the Mavs just aren't completely built to be a complete roster, and you're going up against a really complete roster. So they have four $30 million players on that roster, and then they added Derek White, who's been playing like a $30 million player at points this season. So if you say you have a starting lineup of all that versus the Mavs, who basically have two $40 million players, and then a lot of complementary pieces, it's just the roster isn't fully there to be an NBA championship team. However, they're only down 2-0. They can go back home and win 2 at home. They have not lost home court. They have not lost where they're supposed to be in this series. You only got to steal one in Boston to win the series. You win your games at home. They're not out of it by any stretch, but they have to figure out how to get Kyrie Irving involved, and they have to do that without sacrificing Luka, without sacrificing anything else, because everything else needs to be happening still at the same rate. You can't have a defensive lapse. You've been playing good defense. You held them to 105 in this game. You got to hold them to under 110. You've been doing that. You did that first 2 games. It's a great. I think there was a reason why Jason Kidd didn't foul at the end of the game, was because he didn't want it to get into a game where they put up, they pull the lead out and win by double digits and have 115 because they shoot free throws there at the end of the game. Just let the game go ahead and end, and you can look at the final stats and score and say, we were right there.
And talk to the guys, yeah.
Yeah, we were right there. Morally, I don't want to stretch this out any longer than we have to be here. It's, the odds of us coming back at this and we start fouling are slim to none anyway. So let's not waste our time doing that. Let's go ahead, get on the bus, get on the plane, and get out of here. Get back to Dallas and regroup.
Yeah, that's if indeed what you're doing with versus Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is working.
Yes.
Your strategy. Let's just assume. Let's just give Jason Kidd and the Mavs the benefit of the doubt and say, all right, they got a strategy that it's working. Whatever they're doing versus those guys is working. If you get Kyrie going, if you get, and the likelihood of him getting going now is much better because he'll be away from Boston. If you get him going and you, like you said, you still play defense, and this is kind of the psychology that you think Jason Kidd's working with, you can talk to guys and go, listen, man, we're right there. If Kyrie gives us another, 8 points, hell, we win this game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we're going to win games, by the way. We're going to win them in clutch time, and we're going to win. They're going to be tight. We ain't going to win games comfortably by a comfortable margin. That's just how we're going to beat this team. And so, yeah, I mean, if you're a Mavs fan, that's got to be what your hope is, that, no, actually, some of the strategies work, because Jason Tatum has not had a good series, and Jaylen Brown has not gone off yet. Problem is, Celtics are so damn deep and so talented and experienced that they've been able to win. If you're a Boston fan, you got to feel good that, man, you're up 2-0 and your 2 stars haven't even gone off yet. One of your stars is actually having a bad series overall in Jason Tatum. So they probably feel good about their side of things too. I guess it's glass half full, glass half empty, depending on which side of you look at it. But they got it. We've been talking about it forever. Stars in clutch time, superstars and clutch time, or in clutch time. There have been 25 seconds of clutch time so far in this series for the Mavs. That's where they're going to win the game. They got to make sure they spend more time in clutch time.
Yeah,
that whole 5 minutes of clutch time, they need to be in it. That's the only way they're going to find a way to win it.
No, and you can stake on that. Luka had 11 assists in this game, and it was better than the 9 assists the team had. So you made the improvements. You fixed some of the problems you had. You're progressing in the right direction in this series. But again, it's hard to constantly implement new things into a series and say, by the way, everything else we've done has to stay the same intensity. Everything has to. We have to be better at rebounding. We have to be better at fighting off, letting second chance points for the Celtics and letting the ball bounce on the ground before someone picks it up. We have to fight that. We have to fight, needless turnovers in the game and travels and stepping on the out of bounds lines. All those, we have to fight those still. But you cannot let up on any of the intensity defensively, because again, if they put up 115, I just don't see any way this Dallas team is going to get up to beat them at 115. And so you have to keep them under 110. You haven't scored 100 points in the series. So, when you talk about putting another 10 on, I just don't see that happening.
That's a problem. Yeah, you're right about that. That's like I said, they really just offensively have not yet found their groove in the series yet. got to give Boston a lot of credit too. I think ultimately that's just part of Kyrie being off. And Luka, like I said, you just pointed out he got better. He had 1 assist in game 1, tied for his season low. Team had 9, and he has 11 in game 2. So they're figuring some things out. Kyrie's the only one that had, Kyrie did play better in the first half. I think he was 5 of 10 in the first half. I believe he was 2 of 8, if I'm not mistaken, in the second half. So he was actually better in the first half. So maybe there's something they can look at there and point out how they can get, Kyrie, in a better groove early. Maybe you want him to start fast so that he has that confidence throughout the game. Because 5 of 10 actually is starting pretty good, but he was non-existent in the second half and was 2 of 8. So Kyrie showing up is going to be the big factor for the Mavs. If he's there, then I think they can push the clutch time. If he's not an impact player for them, they won't get the clutch time with the Celtics, and this thing might be a sweep. But they'll find the Celtics as vulnerable in game 3 as they've ever been, just because of human nature. They're up 2-0 in this series. They've not won comfortably both games. Game 1 they won comfortably, but game 2 is still their stars haven't had great games. They've still been able to win. They're confident. They're probably borderline overconfident at this point.
Yes,
that they beat the Mavs. And somebody on that team is probably talking about sweep, and they've probably been told to shut up by other guys on the team. But it is creeping into their subconscious about the championship and what is potentially on the horizon for them. And this is when they'll get distracted. The Celtics have a tendency to play with their food, and it should be a elimination game mentality for the Mavs, because if you lose game 3, you basically series is over anyway.
That they're looking up places to party on Friday when they sweep the series. They're looking up, hey man, are we flying back to Boston right after the game to party in Boston? Are we staying in Dallas to party? What do we got planned? Are we going to Vegas? Are we
plans are being made. They're secretly
they're thinking of all those types of people. Hey man, y'all need to come to Dallas on Friday. Y'all need, hey, all my friends, hey,
I'm flying my family out,
flying everybody out on Friday so we can celebrate on Friday. Like, that's already been and that's what you want to take advantage of, them thinking about that. If you're the Mavericks, you have to take advantage of those types of things, of them getting 200. You have to take the fact that, no one really believes that Joe Mazzulla has got this team where he needs to have them mentally, where they're tough enough to finish out a sweep, and that they've shown lapses of mental toughness at points, and just have games where they don't really come out and play with that intensity. That, can you get that in game 3? Because the real question is, can you get it in game 3? If it goes to game 4, you feel like you're out of it. Historically, that would tell you're out of it if it goes to game 4. So you really need that game to be in game 3, and it feels like they're going to have everything set for them to be, as mentally tough as they can be and ready for it as much as they can be. But you just have to, if you're the Mavs, try and make it as hard on them early. Because if you can put a run on them early, and if you can get in, like you did well, the Mavs did really well in game 1 and in game 2 of staying in the first quarter and keeping the lead. Yeah, and it wasn't really until the second half of that third quarter where Boston started to pull away a little bit more. But you just have to put that pressure on and hope that the Celtics maybe get a little in their own head and they're not worried about it. And screw it, we'll go win back in Boston. We don't need to win this. We'll win game 4 and game 5 and we'll win the championship. You want to get that look out of them in game 3, and you just have to be able to go early. But that's where you need Kyrie to be able to be a piece of this offense early. And if you can hit threes early, and I get, Boston does a good job of making you shoot threes where they want you to shoot them. They understand that just right at the break of the 3-point line is a lower percentage 3, especially for guys like Jones and PJ Washington, who are corner 3 guys. So they're allowing that kind of play. But you have to say, if they're going to just allow that, you have to make those. Or if you're not going to make them, drive in,
dribble up,
get in and go to attack the basket, and then kick it out to somebody else. Make them continue to attack and make them continue to push it in. And if you drive in and they collapse off of Luka, get him the ball. Get him the ball back. And, I get, you don't want to, if you're another player on the team, constantly get the ball back to Luka. But if you can drive in and they collapse off of him, now that's a pretty sure point. If you just say, I'm shooting 1 for 20 in the playoffs or 1 for 20 above the arc in the finals, get the ball back off. Dribble in, kick the ball back out. You'd be good. They're going to collapse on you. If they don't, take it right at them, try and get them in foul trouble.
That's a great point too, and about the corner threes. That was one of we talked about that before the series. The Boston Celtics were the best team in the NBA at defending corner threes, and the Mavs have been feasting on corner threes. Matter of fact, Luka had more assists on corner threes than any player in the playoffs, and he had more assists on lobs. Remember, I gave that stat: more assists on lobs and dunks than any player in the playoffs, and they've basically taken both of those away. Those kind of have been gimmies for Luka and the Mavs all postseason, and they've taken those away. They've been two of their really money concepts, and we haven't seen them in these finals. You're right. They've been smothering that corner three, giving them just enough space at that break there. Now you can have that one. And it's like, well, I don't really want that one, but you know what I mean? I'll take it.
It's wide open.
23%. Yes,
it's wide open. Take it. But if you're shooting 20% from that area, it's just not worth it. Dribble in, go right at him. Make a play at the basket. And I get when Porzingis is in there, you probably have to play a little different. But if Porzingis isn't in there, they're still collapsing well. But for like a PJ Washington those guys can fly. Don't get a charge, but go try and make contact. Try and make them make the play. Make the refs make the call if they're going to go out there and guard it, because you can't keep settling when it's not working and hoping that the threes fall. If you say we're basing everything on game 3 on those threes starting to fall because we're at home and you get behind early, it's just going to be that's such a big hill to climb.
I'm with you. And the Celtics, you're right. They were able. The Celtics, they got a run coming, right? They always had this huge run, and it came in that third quarter, and it was 63-61, and the Celtics had a lead. And I was thinking to myself, all right, this is exactly where the Mavs need to be. The midway through the third quarter, they basically turned their lead into 69-63. Jason Kidd calls a timeout because he sees it. He's like, no, hell no. Y'all don't give me with that run. Let's call a timeout. Make sure that we get everything in order here. Make sure I let the guys know exactly what we need to emphasize. And then 2 minutes later, basically I think they called another timeout because Boston made it 75-63. And so you're talking about basically with like a 3-minute span.
Yeah,
it was like a 3 to 4 minute span. It ended up being it went from being a 2-point lead to a 12-point lead, and it seemed like it happened like that. And I was like, damn, what? They were just in the game, and no, they still fought their way back into it. Like I said, they fought down to the very end. I believe there were like 25 seconds of clutch time in like the last 2 minutes of the game. There, they fought like a mofo to get back into it, but they just didn't have enough in the end. Too many playmakers on the side.
And I mean,
and Boston in clutch time, they're not a bad team in clutch time. You're just hoping that's where at least they're most vulnerable, but they're not bad. You see, they still made plays in clutch time.
They still made play, and you got back into it in clutch time. You fought yourself back in that 5 points, and you had the steal, and you had the breakdown and running back, and Derek White just caught up and got the block. And if you pull that one back out and that turns into a 2 or a 3, or you're able to convert on that, then maybe everything changes. Now it's a 3-point game, and you've got them a little bit more worried, and they're on their heels. In a 3-point game versus a 7 or 8 point game, in that swing is hugely different because it's one possession, and you just couldn't get that one play. I'm sure they'd love to have that one back, but you just have to go forward and realize, we were a play away. We were a play away from being able to make it a play away, and I get that sounds like Aggie talk, but it's But at the end of the day, you just say we're not that far out of game 2. So when we went game 1, we got blown out. That wasn't our game. Game 2, we were right there. So now game 3, let's progress and take our next step forward. But we can't take any steps back on anything else, and that's what worries you the most if you're a Mavs fan. Is how do you keep up that intensity against just a really, really good Celtics team? You just have to keep that up and realize this is the season. This is everything you played for all season is in this game. And you can't let the intensity die because you need those rebounds. You need to not allow them second chance points. You need to be able to get the loose balls because you're going to need every piece of help you can get to win this game 3.
Yep, no doubt about that. All right, nice breakdown there of the NBA Finals Game 2. We'll go behind the burnt orange curtain next segment. We'll talk some Texas sports, also them winning the Directors Cup 3 out of the last 4 years. There's also a new special assistant to the head coach on the special teams phase for Texas football. We'll talk about that, and we'll also talk about the viral controversy that hit Texas football, the fleet of Lamborghinis that they used to impress the recruits on their official visits. That video hit the interweb, and a lot of folks were displeased with the Longhorns recruiting methods. We'll talk about that on the other side. All that and more right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis, coming back on the horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a great city. It's one of the reasons people keep moving to Austin, making it one of the fastest growing cities in America. And as our city continues to grow and thrive, well, so do our friends over at Ironworkers Local Union 482. Many of the iconic landmarks we love in this city were created and built by the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local Union 482, like the Pennybacker Bridge and DKR Stadium. The folks over at Ironworkers Local 482 don't just go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting employment opportunity or you want a refreshing career change, you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482, and right now it's the perfect time to do it. They're hiring over 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas. They're offering competitive wages, competitive benefits, and a pension plan. They even offer training for unskilled labor through their apprenticeship program. So right now it's the perfect time for you to become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. To apply today, go online and apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to go behind the burnt orange curtain, talk some Texas football here. The couple of stories I want to get to. Well, let's talk Texas sports because also we'll get into some discussion about the Directors Cup, which Texas has now won 3 out of the last 4 years. You heard my man Patrick bring that up in the update. But first, let's talk about the blowback that Texas received via social media from a lot of its peers in the college football realm after they laid out a fleet of Lamborghinis to welcome recruits for their official visits. The video went viral. By the way, this is something that's been done before by other schools. As a matter of fact, there's a video that has resurfaced of Oklahoma. They didn't have all Lamborghinis, but they had, I believe there were some Lamborghinis out there, but they had all these really high end sports cars. There was a Bentley out there, and they had them on their football field for recruits. This was like 2-3 years ago, actually. So it's happened before, but for some reason, Texas is getting a ton of blowback, especially for when they do it. And I think the reason Texas is getting the blowback because it's a sales pitch that I think a lot of people are right now a little paranoid about in the college football realm. The truth is now it is really hard to negatively recruit against Texas. That wasn't the case for the last 15 years. It was easy to negatively recruit against Texas, meaning what your counter was when you were recruiting a kid who was considering Texas. They don't send guys to the NFL. They don't compete for championships, and they are the most underachieving their most underachieving program in college football, in major college football in the last 15 years. That's actually true. I didn't make that up. If you go look at the over-unders predictions by the Vegas Wise guys, Texas routinely was hitting the under on those and not sending guys to the league and not competing for championships. So the recruiting pitch was easy. Now it is not easy at all. It is tough. It is if you're recruiting a kid who's also considering Texas, it's tougher than it's ever been. Right? Austin is a great city, always has been. All right. So Austin is more impressive than it's ever been, other than the traffic. But they're fine. As long as they're driving Lamborghinis, they're fine in traffic. I kid. But but Austin's a great city, right? Young people love it. If you love academics, of course, they got now Austin, University of Texas. They have it on like public Ivy League lists, right? As one of those types of schools. So the academics is in a whole other world, right? Really impressive. They're competing for championships now, expected to compete for an SEC title. They're in the SEC. Used to be like, oh, they're not in the SEC. They're not even playing the most elite brand of football. Well, now they're in the SEC. They sent 11 guys to the league, second most behind Michigan, who sent 13. So you can't say they're not sending guys to the league anymore. And, ultimately, if you're talking about the IT school, Texas, I hate to say this because I'm not cool. So for me, it sounds lame. It is now the IT University again. And I remember when it became the IT University again, and maybe it comes in cycles, when I was being recruited. That's how I know how old I am. It came full circle. And now it's a cool university again. They got a place on the college football video game. Archie Manning and the Manning family gave it their celebrity endorsement and chose the University of Texas. They go to the combine and show out, and Xavier Worthy sets the record for the 40-yard dash at the NFL combine. It just seems like, more and more Texas is getting a ton of headlines. It's becoming the cool place to be. Cool is currency in recruiting, guys. I think Deion Sanders recruits so well, even though the team is terrible, and they don't win a lot of games. And he's notoriously has had a really high attrition rate, and still can bring in a lot of the blue chips via the transfer portal because he's cool. Deion Sanders will always be cool. I mean, I went to Texas mostly because Ricky Williams turned Texas into a cool IT university again. Lamborghinis are cool. All you're trying to do in recruiting is be cool. Whatever these 17-year-old kids think is cool, all right, we got to try to do that. And Lamborghinis were cool when I was being recruited. They're cool now. They will always be cool. So that's all you're trying to do in recruiting. That's why they bring people like Matthew McConaughey around, because it's all about being cool. Cool is currency. And so and something else I'll say about this. This is smart marketing. By the way, Lamborghini loves this. The whole point of NIL is so you can have this kind of cross promotion and this very creative marketing And that's exactly what they got. We were talking now. Everybody's talking about Lamborghinis. None of us are buying Lamborghinis yet. We're all talking about Lamborghinis. This Lamborghini's like, this is great. We wanted to market to the Gen Pop, to the middle class folks out there, even though they're never going to buy Lamborghinis. Maybe they will one day. But these athletes, they're more likely to buy a Lamborghini because they actually may end up going to the NFL one day and actually buying one. So you're marketing to them, which is your actual demographic. But then to the Gen Pop like us, we think it's cool about Lamborghinis, and now we're all talking about Lamborghinis. So it is a brilliant marketing campaign by them.
Yeah.
And once again, it proves there's a Lamborghini dealership in Austin, which is also something that promotes the city's like, no, the city's big time enough. Not a lot of them around the country, actual Lamborghini dealerships. So it's one of those things where, to me, this was the purpose of NIL. And if you're Texas, you have to get these messages out there because you yourself, you don't necessarily promote the NIL opportunities that you can provide athletes. So you need others to do it for you. You need Darren Ravel to write an article about the Pancake Factory. So everybody around the country goes, by the way, he's criticizing it, but it helps you because everybody's going, so they pay their O lineman $10,000 every scholarship O lineman gets $10,000. That's awesome. That's great. Just by just signing your name on that line. Yep, that's the way it works out. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Oh, how much it is? I don't even know how much it is. I forgot. So don't hit me up and let me know. Oh, right, it's actually more than that. I don't know how much it is to Pancake Factory. Is it $50,000 or whatever?
I thought it was 50. I thought it was 50.
Either way, so it's $50,000. My point being, yeah, $10,000 is small change. I apologize, young people. $50,000, right? You need that.
You ain't getting a Lambo with 10.
You ain't getting exactly right. Yeah, what are you gonna do with $10,000? You know, you scrub. All right, but yeah, you need that information out there, and you need people to know that. Jay Witt and Jalen Ford and Jake Majors had a Lamborghini deal last year, and then Bijan Robinson had a Lamborghini deal before that. You need that out there. And this is the way to get that out there because then it gets to the recruits. And then to the recruits, all the recruits go, oh, man, in Texas, they get Lamborghini deals. In Texas, the starting quarterback has a NIL deal with a company to have his own private jet. Did you know that? Like, yeah, man, in Texas, they have some. So you need that marketed and promoted out there. So I know people don't like it, but don't hate the player, hate the game. Texas ain't even the first team to do it. Oklahoma did it before Texas, and I'm sure some other teams did it before Oklahoma. All right, so it don't hate the play, hate the game. This is the game now. Unfortunately, for some of y'all, I don't like it, but this is the game.
Yeah, no, and I mean, and the reality is, if you want to say there's going to be kids that come in, they see the Lambos, this is really cool. It's really cool. I never buy a Lambo. I'm not a Lambo guy. But I'm okay driving a truck or whatever else I want to drive, and
exactly right.
And I'm fine with that. But man, I know if they're driving Lambos, I can probably get the truck I want, and I can probably get. I get this car, and I'll get that, and I'll have better clothes, and I'll get all the, like you can still see, and you just go, it's a sign of this is the kind of opulence you can have, and you can choose to do whatever you want with that money, and you can choose to. But by the way, this is the type of life that you can get to by going to Texas, and not just because you're going to be the one who comes here, because we're going to get you the NFL. Because we're going to get you a great chance. We just had 11 guys drafted because we have the best network of alumni that once your NFL playing days are over, you're going to have a job set up for you and you'll be set up to win in finance money, right? Mm-hmm. By the way, did we mention that the best agent in football right now is a UT guy? Just going to throw that out there too. We're going to give you all those opportunities, and this is your future at 17 years old. You getting there already because Texas is going to help you get there. And so people get mad at all they want, and they're just still be jealous. Big 12 people are going to hate Texas because they're leaving. SEC people are going to hate Texas because we're coming in. Everyone's going to hate Texas. It is what it is. It's good to be hated, though, because if you're irrelevant, that's the problem.
Yep. No, I totally agree. And I know, the narrative for a lot of people, oh, man, Texas is just going to, their money now in the NIL world, NIL space, is just going to allow them even more advantages. And it's true. You're not wrong about that. And I'll admit that as a Longhorn through and through that, yeah, the new landscape of college football, it's about to supercharge Texas sports. It's about to put Texas sports on steroids. Guys, yes. This is what Texas sports has been waiting on. Remember, Texas always believed in this, and during the Southwest Conference days, everybody was cheating a little bit. I always say that not everybody in college football is cheating, but not everybody's corrupt. That's what I always used to say. Because the rules were they lacked pragmatism. They were so unrealistic that everybody was cheating because the rules were so stupid. They didn't make any damn sense. So, yeah, of course you were cheating because the rules was dumb. Somebody bought your kid a meal or something. Oh, you're cheating. It's like, what? Well, they just bought him a meal. He was hungry. You're cheating. So everybody was cheating because the rules were stupid. But was everybody corrupt? Corruption is the athletic department itself is in on it, right? You know what I mean? The people inside of the athletic department themselves are in on. That's like true corruption if you got coaches in or that kind of stuff. So not everybody was corrupt, but yeah, everybody was pretty much cheating because it's just the rules are so stupid. But I think at this point, when you look at it now, because Texas had integrity, and Texas, I know this for a fact, Texas compliance department, they are a pain in the you know what.
Yeah.
To all the athletic sports programs around there, and that's their job, by the way. Compliance is make sure you follow the rules. That's compliance. NCAA has relied on self-governance to run college sports, so it's all about how tough is your compliance department about you. And by the way, with NIL, they have even more to do in terms of being compliant with the state laws of NIL and all that kind of stuff. So Texas always prided itself on having some type of integrity and not wanting to operate outside of the rules, and not wanting to skirt the rules. And trust me, some universities don't give a damn about that kind of stuff. But now you literally above board. It is the rules that you can weaponize your financial monetary resources. And I just keep going back to that Red McCombs, quote where he says Texas has more money than everybody except the Catholic Church. And then you think about DeLoss Dodge saying, we don't keep up with the Joneses. We are the Joneses. The NIL and the transfer portal era of college sports, a free market, will allow Texas to become the Joneses once again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the goal. That's the goal.
It is. And you can see it already. Athletic department, we got 3 out of the last 4 Directors Cups. That is not totally a coincidence. It is great hiring by CDC. It is CDC being on board, the Holy Trinity, CDC and Kevin Eltife and Jay Hartzell behind the scenes. That all is great. BBs are in the box, but also being a leader in the NIL space is helping tremendously.
Yes.
Like I said, it's putting Texas on steroids. It's supercharging Texas sports right now because Texas has, as Patrick mentioned, one of the largest donor bases out there. And other than Ivy League schools and the borderline Ivy League schools, I don't know if there's a donor base that is more affluent, that has more money.
Yeah.
All right. Like I said, other than some of the Ivy League schools, there's some other programs too that are like that. Michigan alumni base got a lot of money. Hell, A&M alumni base got a lot of money. Yeah. I'm not saying Texas is the only one with a lot of money, but it ain't a lot of programs out there other than, like I said, other than like Ivy Leagues and the borderline Ivy Leagues with more money. Like they had as much. I don't know if they got more.
No, and you can throw in too. There's something special about the alumni base that it is nationwide.
Yes, it is,
and that helps you when you're post career. Depending on where you're going to be, you can be at a lot of different places and still have a good opportunity to work with somebody that is a UT fan or a UT that knows who you were and remembers you're playing, and maybe helps you get a job that you wouldn't got otherwise, or keep yourself going after your playing days are done.
The location matters, man, because now you're talking about like the location, even of the university, right? Austin matters because you get all the Fortune 500 companies and all of the affluence and all the money that has now moved into this town. And one of the biggest brands in this town, so there's a brand association, which is all NIL is about. Brand association is the University of Texas and their football brand. And they want to be attached to these players. So you're not going to get that type of influence in smaller college towns. You get it at USC. You can get, big cities where they have great programs, but there's not a lot of those. I mean, most colleges are in smaller college towns, and Austin happens to be a major metropolitan city. All right, I'll give you the info on the new special assistant. We'll do that in Rod's rant. I promise you, we'll give you that in the 9 o'clock. So I promise I'll give you that coming up a little bit later on. But there you go, Texas. Even though some people are calling it Lambo U, I don't think it could be something else next time. It ain't gotta be Lamborghinis this time. Next time it could be. I mean, what could it be next time? I don't know. Is it Benz's next time? Like I don't know, Lambos. I guess it's a downgrade. Actually, that's a Lambo. What can you get that's better than Lambo? You got to go up if you're gonna upgrade.
You get
Bentleys?
Ferraris.
You go all Bentleys. Is Ferrari better than Lambo? I don't know. I'm asking. I'm asking you. What's the? And by the way, when do I get my Lambo deal? Do I be all conference to get the Lambo deal? Like, when do I get my Lambo deal? My All-American? What's the Lambo standard? What's the Lambo standard?
I don't know. I think you know what they're gonna have. There's gonna be in a few years. You're just gonna see the private jet Just sitting down there.
Yeah, private. Only the quarterbacks are getting the private jets. I haven't
Yes.
seen only the QBs get the private jet NIL deal. But if I want my Lambo deal, what do I give me? Because a player, I want to know what I have to achieve to get the deal. That's how I was built like that. My dad my sophomore year when I was a terrible football player. My dad made like this board, and on the board, I'm not BSing you guys. It had for every tackle, I'd get like a dollar, and like for every interception, I'd get like $20, and for like a fumble recovery, I'd get like 10. My pops literally laid out an incentive chart for me,
Yeah.
and he just posted on my wall one day, and I came in, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And dude, my senior year, I cleaned up. I was racking up pops. I had like 7 picks. I had like 3 or 4 touchdowns playing offense too. Dude, I cleaned pops out. He was happy to give me the money, but I was kind of built like that. I was like, no, give me what I need to do to achieve it, and then show me the incentive, and I will work for it. I want to know what I need to do for the Lambo deal. Give me like, hey, Rob B, you all conference, you get a Lambo deal. I'm like, done. I will have that Lambo deal by next season. So I don't know. It's interesting, but Texas doing all they can to pull out all the stops to get the recruits. Hey, recruiting is it's a sales pitch, and Texas sales pitch right now is really freaking good. It's just really good. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into a little off the record on the side right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers coming back on the horn.
Hey, what say about our friends at Texan Windows? They're your new and replacement window experts in Central Texas. You can discover affordable windows and sliding glass doors. If you want to enhance your curb appeal of your home, maybe get some new colors on your windows, maybe match what your new exterior design is, where you want it to look clean and fresh, you can get that done. Or if you just want to change the operation of a window, get some windows to get some airflow. Or if you never even open those windows, make them beautiful picture windows. You can do that as well. Obscured glass, you want some privacy in your home, they can help you out with all of those different looks, but it's not just about the look.
Oh, not at all. All their windows come with argon filled double pane, low E glass. That's just a really fancy way of saying that it'll keep your house really, really cool during those hot Texas summer days, which are fast approaching. It'll keep your house warm during those winter months as well. Energy efficiency is what Texan windows are all about. And that energy efficiency will save you money on your annual energy bills, folks. That's what I love about the folks at Texan Windows. There's a lot to love and a lot of advantages to getting new windows from Texan Windows, but nothing better than saving money, because I'm a baller on the budget, and replacement windows can help with energy efficiency. Also, you can personalize them and childproof them. I got an 8-month-old in the house now, so we're childproofing everything, including the windows. And if you have older windows in your house, it can make it really tough to childproof them, really tough to, because they don't have the latest safety protocols and the latest technological advances in safety. That's what Texan Windows can do for you. Not only childproofing to help you obviously protect your loved ones, but also to safeguard your home as well. That's what you can get from brand new windows from Texan Windows. And my man Patrick will let you know exactly how you can get in touch with them.
Yes, you want to hit up our friends at Texan Windows. You can get started at TexanWindows.com or call 855-55-TEXAN to get a hassle-free estimate by email or over the phone. Whatever's easier for you, that's what they want to do for you. Or you can go ahead and stop by their showroom. If that's the easiest way, they got a new one in Beauty you need to check out, or you can head to the one in Fort Worth if that's the area you're in and check out their in-stock windows. That's TexanWindows.com. Texan Windows, your Central Texas window experts.
All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get to a little off the record here. So Elon Musk, richest man in the world, he owns a ton of satellites around the planet. For his Starlink technology, and it's supposed to be, and it apparently it is really cutting edge. It provides internet access to remote locations around the planet, like just places that you would never be able to get internet access there. Apparently it provides internet access, and even to places as reclusive and remote as the Amazon. Apparently Brazil has a 2,000 member Marubo tribe. It's a reclusive tribe in Amazon that apparently got access finally to this technology. So access to the internet via Starlink. And they've been divided by the arrival of the technology, which connected them in the remote rainforest to the internet for the first time in their civilization's history. When it arrived, everyone was happy, said one of the members of the tribe. It said, but now things have gotten worse. Young people have gotten lazy because of the internet. They're learning the ways of the white people, it says here. The Marubo are a chaste tribe who even frown upon public displays of affection. But Alfredo Marubo said he is anxious that the arrival of the service, which delivers super fast internet, it says apparently it's gotten them hooked on, some of the men hooked on adult entertainment as well. Said many of the men have been sharing adult videos in group chats and have already been seen being more aggressive because of the internet. They said they're worried about them now kind of losing the old ways of decorum that once were expected by members of the tribe because they've been exposed to the internet now. Corrupted this tribe that was doing just fine. Now they got the internet. Now they're wilding out, basically. Boom, wilding out.
Yeah. It's that thing is we're doing just fine. And then everyone in the tribe will be like, we were not doing just fine. You were
Look at this.
You were doing just fine. We sucked for all of us. We're just so happy now again.
Yeah, apparently now these are things that they wanted. Obviously, they wanted to be connected to people, and they wanted to.
It is just funny when you hear everything. You're like,
21st
you think of it one way, and then you hear in their group chats. Like, but they have group chats too. What is this?
Oh, they got group chats already. No, they on social media now and everything. Like it just. I would say this is they probably should have like kind of piecemeal this technology, maybe a little bit at a time. This seems like a lot to throw on a tribe.
You gotta start about with AOL.
Yes, thank you very much. Like we got so we had download first.
Ease them into it. You can't go high speed right off the bat.
Thank you. Come on, it's going straight to porn. It's like, come on, man. We had Skinamax first and some magazines,
scrambled channels.
Give them printed porn first, and let them see what they can do with that. Don't just give them the hardcore stuff off the bat. That's wild.
Started with J.C. Penney, then give them
exactly. Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, they give them a swimsuit edition.
Yes. Thank you.
You can escalate.
This how you're come on. That's my big complaint. It's like, nah, that's too much at one time, guys. That's, just that social media. Like, nah, man. What did we have before? What was before Facebook? What was it?
MySpace.
What was he? Yeah, see, you had a MySpace, Facebook, and then we got
break up
Twitter.
The tribe is when only you can only put how much of the 8 guys in your top 8 in the tribe.
Now they put got a list of relationship status now in the tribe and all that. That's really complicated stuff, man.
Hey man, what does it's complicated mean?
Sending eggplant emojis, like what does that mean? Oh, you don't get the eggplant emoji? Oh, okay. Oh man, it's poor tribe. All right, there you go. That's off the record. We'll come back. We'll get into the big story from the weekend. Why is Caitlin Clark not on the Olympic women's national team? We'll discuss on the other side right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis and Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis coming back on the horn. Welcome back to the Rodcast. It is a Smooth Soul Monday edition of the Rodcast, and the purpose of a Smooth Soul Monday edition of the Rodcast is to make the transition from the fun-filled, happy times of the weekend to the stress-filled, hectic work week to make it a smooth transition for you, because sometimes Monday can just slap you right in the face, as we all know, with all the meetings and the traffic, and oh man, it's just brutal. So make that transition for you smooth. We call it a Smooth Soul Monday. My man Patrick does all the hard work for you, as he always does. Also, Patrick comes up with a topic for the big fat poll of the day. You can go actually check that out at the Horn ATX on X. Check out that account. But Patrick, let people know what the topic is for the big fat poll of the day.
Big fat poll of the day. Going into game 3, going to game 4, which player of the Celtics scares you the most? Right now, Jaylen Brown is winning the voting. Drew Holiday in second, but Jaylen Brown makes sense. Hasn't had a huge game yet, but people feel maybe he is due for a big game. But not surprising, somewhat surprising. Jason Tatum there, not getting a lot of love. People not afraid of Jason Tatum.
Faith in Jason Tatum. No. This series is not going to help him if the Celtics win, and he doesn't have a good series. The narrative that'll only throw fuel on the fire, just more gasoline on the fire, because there's now Jason Kidd was, and I know he was trying to play some psychological games with the Celtics over the weekend when he threw out there that he thought, and maybe he believes it. I don't know. He could just believe it, because some people actually do believe it. It could be true for them, that they believe Jaylen Brown is the best player on their team. And Jason Kidd said that to the media, and the Boston Celtics all were asked about it and responded to it. Even some of them brought up the fact they knew he was doing this to be divisive and try to divide the team, and they weren't going to allow him to do that. So it'd be interesting to see if Jason Kidd actually believes that, or if he was just saying that because he knows that's a nice little bomb to drop in that locker room that could really, turn some guys against one another potentially. That did not happen because the Boston Celtics ended up going out and winning game 2 up 2-0 in that series. So right now, Drew Holiday is the mid that kind of scares me.
It's the one that's going to be the fun when his contract and that extension talk starts coming back up. He's got 1 year left, and then a player option, which no one does a player option because the salaries keep going up. So you'd be silly to keep the $35 million when you're going to be making 60, 55, 60. You might as well forget that player option. It's not going to happen. But he's going to be in that conversation for that big super max and all of those other things that come with it, and those big contracts.
You got to pay him.
And you got to pay him, but you're paying Jaylen Brown a max contract too. So you're paying a lot of money. And how long can that team now? They have basically this whole roster back together again next year. Like, they have all the big pieces of that again next season. And then after that is where it starts to really be a problem of salaries and that. So but if you could win 2 titles, there's not anybody who can
pay whatever. There's no amount of money that wouldn't make that worth it. It's like, no, I'll pay whatever. If I end up winning 2 titles, it was well worth it, whatever you did. So they got to pay him. But except for his legacy, this would be bad optics, that team winning. And him not being a crucial part of it, because that has been, unfortunately, the narrative for him is that he's not the best player on this team, and he isn't necessarily a superstar, because he shies away from those big moments. Yeah. So you'll see if he has some there'll be an opportunity in this series for him to have big moment. He has one big game. Everybody will forget all. He does,
and we can put in for the record, he did have double digits assists in that game, and I think 9 rebounds. So it wasn't like he was completely ineffective, just scoring wise, where you want your best player to be. You can't take 22 shots and not have 22 points.
Yeah, and he adjusted. You're right. He adjusted. He was like, "No, obviously, I'm not hitting any baskets. Yeah. I'm off. So I will contribute in other ways." So exactly. You give him credit. He's not a selfish player by any means. But yeah, people questioning his superstardom.
Yes.
For Jason Tatum. All right, good stuff there. We'll hit the Horn headlines here. Excuse me, and we'll get informed, updated, and educated on all the top stories of the day, and then we'll hit the Caitlin Clark story. Big story from the weekends. Caitlin Clark was left off the women's national team for the upcoming Olympics, and the Caitlin Clark fans are very upset about this. So did she deserve to be there, or was this based on meritocracy and she's not one of the 12 best players that should have been considered? So we'll talk about that. We'll also get to a Rangers report coming up here in this hour. So don't go anywhere, Rangers fans. I want to give you the special assistant to the head coach. We haven't talked about that yet. yet. Texas made a hire, special teams related hire over the weekend. I like it. So we'll get to that in Rod's rant. If we don't have time, we'll just throw that into Rod's rant as well. And we'll try to get that NFL story, the worst to first to worst conversation again. But if we don't have time, we did visit that earlier in the show. So we'll try to cram a lot into this 9 o'clock. But before we do, let's get updated, educated, and informed with all the top stories of the day with Patrick Davis and the Horn Headlines.
All right, your Horn Headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. Texas finished its athletic run for this sports year by winning its third Directors' Cup in the last 4 years. Stanford won the title back last year before Texas was able to get the honor again following the success of Texas golf, softball, and track and field to close out their seasons. The Directors' Cup is an award given to the top overall athletic department in all sports, men's and women's, once again solidifying the Longhorns' overall success. In the NBA, the Celtics took Game 2 of the finals 105-98 with Luka Doncic posting a 32-point triple-double, but he still took blame for the loss after the game, citing his 50% free throw shooting and costly 8 turnovers. Drew Holiday led the way for the Celtics with 26 points on 11 of 14 shooting, but the real story was another smothering Boston defensive performance, holding the Mavs under 100 points. Kristaps Porzingis, who came up limping in the game, said he feels good about being healthy enough to play in Game 3. Series will now head to Dallas as the Mavericks are in desperate need of a win. In Major League Baseball, the Astros won their series over the Angels over the weekend, but missed a sweep as Trey Cabbage almost stole the walk-off home run with a great catch before losing the ball into the crowd. The Astros will now move on to a series with the Giants, who just won a series against the Rangers, but dropped their Sunday game 7-2. Marcus Semien in that game got another big home run, and Nathan Eovaldi was able to pick up the win after 7 innings of work. The Rangers now move on to a series with the Dodgers starting on Tuesday, and that is your Horn Headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the Horn Headlines. Over the weekend, it was reported that the Olympic team, the women's national team for the Olympics, for the women's basketball team for the Olympics, that they were not going to have Caitlin Clark on the roster. The 12-person roster was announced this past weekend, and Shams Charania, along with others, reported that Caitlin Clark was not going to be a part of the roster. She took the high road when she was asked about it. She said it's a really tough team to make, and that, you know, all the players are really, really good. And she also said that she wasn't disappointed that she didn't make the team, but there was a separate report that her coach confirmed that Caitlin Clark, after receiving the news, told her coach, "Hey, coach, they woke a monster." So, woke a monster. I'm sure that's her competitive chip on her shoulder right now is growing a little bit bigger, and that's a good thing. But let's talk about this, whether, because some people are saying, just based on meritocracy, she was not one of the best 15 players, you know, in the WNBA or on the planet, really, because you can take collegians. We've seen several times, whether you're talking about the men's national team or the women's national team, we've seen Christian Laettner, Rebecca Lobo, Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, all make the U.S. Olympic team over the years as collegians. So they take who they believe are the best basketball players, period, on the planet to represent their team, or their national team, I should say, in the U.S. more than anything. And they said that the reason, and I said this is one of the reports from USA Today, and it's from Christine Brennan. She says 2 other sources, both longtime USA basketball veterans with decades of experience in the women's game, told USA Today Sports Friday that concern over how Clark's millions of fans would react to what would likely be limited playing time on a stacked roster was a factor in the decision making. So if that is true, then that would, you know, them admitting that the tension of having Caitlin Clark there, and if she's not playing, and then them considering how many fans she has and how that story could potentially become the big headline of the women's Olympic team, or for the women's Olympic team, that it wouldn't necessarily be about the team itself and their success, that it'd be about Caitlin Clark and why is she playing more, and the Caitlin Clark headline. And to me, no duh. That's the whole point, because more people will be watching for Caitlin Clark. So you don't want more people watching, is what you're saying? That's insanity.
No,
what are we doing, women's basketball? Why are we sabotaging our own sport?
And
what is happening here?
And I get we had someone in the text line say, well, what is it okay then that she's going to take the spot of someone more deserving? Yes. And I agree. But if you're the 12th best person on that roster, you probably, you maybe weren't going to rank it anyway. And I get it. It's like, but you were probably, that was a conversation of who they were going to take, and it's a position that what they normally have done. And the young players, when you talk about that of young players, is you take somebody and you say, we think you're the future of where we will be. So we want to put you on this team because we think you're going to be leading us in the next 4 years, and 8 years, and 12 years. You may be on this roster helping lead us for those years. So what we would like is for you to be a part of it now, and you're not going to play a ton of minutes, but you're going to learn how the whole process goes and the training and how hard you have to work to be a part of this. You're going to learn all of that now. And then as you progress in your career in 4 years, now you've got a little bit more experience. Now you play more minutes. And then in 8 years, you're the veteran on that team and you're the one leading the way. That's why you bring people in early. And again, you can say, no, it's an honor that we're going to give the other people. They're going to win anyway. They're just women's basketball in America is much better than it's going to be anywhere else.
They haven't lost a single game in the Olympics in 30 years. So
yes,
you're right.
Yeah, and so I get it. It's this entire process of wanting to be morally justifiably right, that we're on the moral high ground here. And that's fine. And it's fine if you want that, but never ask me for another dime. Never ask me for that. You should be giving away your tickets. Morally, it's better for you to not charge these young kids to go see your game. Morally, seriously, it's better for you to drive car. It's better than get on planes and use all your carbon footprint. It's better for you to drive that. Morally, it's better for you to make sure to shake hands after every game. Morally, that's right. So don't give me this moral high ground because you only want to use it when it benefits you. It's not a moral high ground.
Is it benefiting them?
No, but the point is it's benefiting them because they want to say morally I don't like her because I'm the right player and I'm the better. I'm the better basketball player. I deserve it. But you don't. But that's the problem is it's not going to work that way because you only want the windfall that she brought with her, and it doesn't have to be morally right. It doesn't have to be ethically right. You can look at basketball players. It's not wrong for a basketball player to ask for a $60 million contract if that's the way the contracts work out. But are they charging too much for tickets? Yes, but if the players say I'll take $30 million, so you can charge less for tickets, the owner's not going to lower it. So why would you not take advantage of the system that is built? And the system that is being built right now is for Caitlin Clark to be able to give you a wave of new viewership where if you come out and you make yourself a star instead of the enemy, then you can go in and steal some of that and your jersey sales will go up and people will talk to, be happier about you. But everybody, and go beat her on the court. That's fine. I don't mind any of this stuff on the court. That's old school basketball. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's more the stuff off the court that everyone has to walk out and go, it's not just her. We go, I get it, but it is. It is.
It is. She's
all
the
the
gateway.
stats show you that it is.
Yes, exactly. All the data we have now says it's her, ladies. Like she's special. I don't know what it is. I don't know who has listen, she's amazing as a basketball player, but she also has an it quality that America is captivated by. Sorry, I know you're a great player too. It wasn't you. It was her. The timing all worked out where it was her. And there's one rule of entertainment. I once met a producer, and he told me, "That's one rule of entertainment: be good or be interesting. Be good or be interesting." Yeah. All right, and she's both. She's good and she's interesting. And I think it also is. I love the fact that the ladies are, some of them are becoming villains in this dynamic, and villains create conflict, and conflict creates storylines. That's great. Hip checker, whatever. Disparaging comments, be petty in the post game. I'm all about that. That's good. Give them more to talk about. This actually is almost sabotage. Like you're just sabotaging your own sport. I'll give you this. It's a couple of stats about Caitlin Clark. So average WNBA games, average viewership for Caitlin Clark's games, she's averaging over 1 million viewers for her games. Because remember they're putting more in WNBA games out there. So we got more of a sample size, more WNBA games out there. They used to put WNBA games on. They used to come like a thief in the night. You never know when you was gonna see a WNBA. Like, oh damn, this is a WNBA game. You never knew. Now they're scheduling. Oh, we're gonna have one on here, on here. All right, because they're trying to promote their product. She's averaging over 1 million viewers every time she plays. Games that are not featuring Caitlin Clark are averaging a little over 400,000 viewers.
Yeah.
And last year, the average viewership was a little over 300,000 per game. So viewership overall is going up, and the viewership for her games is in another stratosphere. I went and looked at attendance at non-Caitlin Clark games. I mean, you're talking about 7,000, 4,000, 9,000, 7,000, 3,000, 7,000, 10,000. Her attendance at her games were 17,000 and 17,000. She just recently, prior to this story breaking on Friday, she had her best game as a pro. She had 30 points. She was 8 of 15, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, did have 8 turnovers, but she's still a youngster. They moved that game. They beat the Mystics, by the way. They moved that game from their normal 4,200 seat arena to the Capital One Arena, which seats over 20,000. So they had 16,000 extra seats, and they were like, all right, so we'll make a little bit of extra money. Guys, they sold out the 16,000 extra seats in 30 minutes. 30 minutes they sold them out. Period. And it was all because people wanted to come see her. By the way, the two teams were 3-20 combined. The Mystics and the Fever. They weren't coming to see these damn teams. These teams are terrible. It was the first ever $1 million+ gate for the Mystics because it was a road game for the Fever. And the sellout crowd of 20,333 was the WNBA's most attended game in 17 years. I said, she's got it. Whatever it is, she's got it. America wants to see her. Put her out there more. The fact that y'all didn't put her on this damn team, that'll just add to the growing narrative that the women in the league don't like her, and that you didn't put on the team because the women in the league, they don't like her, period. Her teammates didn't take up for her when she got hip checked. Oh, they don't like her. Oh, the women in the NBA are going after her. They don't like her. I'm not saying all that's true. Could just be a target on you because when you're an all-time great rookie coming in, or an all-time great college player coming in as a rookie, of course you're going to have a target on you in any sport. Doesn't matter what it is. But the narrative is the ladies in the league don't like her. The ladies in the league are jealous of her. They're envious of her. And maybe some of that is true as well. But that's the narrative. And now this is going to add to narrative that, oh, no, they don't like it. They just say disparaging comments about her after the game. They go after her during the games, and they're jealous of her. And now they don't even want to play on the same team with her. And that's why they didn't put her on there.
Yeah. And it's the craziest part to me about a lot of this is it feels as if the narrative is, or what it feels like is these people are going, well, you know, she's gotten this groundswell and she was able to do this and all of that. And we're blaming her for people liking her.
It seems that way.
And you can hate the fans,
she's awesome.
But take it again. This is why I say it's found money. It's found money. You won the lottery, and then you're complaining about the taxes. You won $100 million, and I'm only going to get 80. I only get 80 million. The government's taking 20 of my 100. That's crap. You got $80 million in the plus, and you're mad about the 20. That's what this is. This is, you have all these things and you go, but then we have to give up some of our, what fame are you giving up? You had none.
You never had any. Yeah,
and I don't mean you had none, but you had none. You weren't getting the ratings. You're now on the level of the NHL. You've gone up to hockey levels and ratings. And so you've jumped up into one of the major American sports levels. You're doing that and you have all that and it's found and you can embrace it and go with it and try and build on it. But you're just so adamant to kill it. And say, no, we only want you to watch if you're watching for the right reason.
Exactly. Yeah.
What?
It does seem that way. It's like, what are you talking about? She's the reason. She's the draw. Put her out there.
I don't mean it's right. I'm not saying that she's the best. I'm just saying this is every category you look into would tell you that this is the case.
Yep,
there's nothing saying
point.
Nothing saying that, oh, the league was going to spike this year anyway, or anything. Nope. None of that's true. Nope. So if you look at it, you see it, it's found money, embrace it, take it in. I get that, you know, sometimes you have to have people that suffer because of what is good for the greater good. And nobody seems to be wanting to go for the greater good. It seems like a collective agreement. Let's kill this before we get off too much. We had a good thing going when we were flying commercial. We had a good thing going. We were almost there. It was 20 years of the same old, but now this changes overnight. And no. We want to do it. We want to do it the right way.
They want the benefits. They want the benefits, but without having to.
Yeah, you want to be the college with morals. And guess what the college with morals does? They don't get recruits. They don't win football games. And they get less money. And then they have to shut down other programs because they're not making money because they're morally justifiably right. The amateurism was the right thing to do. I get it. It's just not the way 2024 is not how the world works. And if you want to be a professional sports league and you want to make money, and they have complained for 10 years now, they don't make enough money. And sure they don't, but the league doesn't make money. So you have to say, well, we shouldn't be getting money we don't make. Now it's there and you don't want it. I don't want that money. It doesn't make sense to me. I get it's unfair. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm saying this is the way it is in 2024. We all get screwed in our jobs all the time. We all get screwed in life all the time. It is what it is. You have to deal with it every day. And so to see somebody have to deal with there, and then you can project and say, well, that's not fair. But that is what it is. It's not all of them are going to make more money when the TV rights deals. Everyone is going to profit from this. They're all flying. They're flying charter flights
with
now.
the Gen Pop to fly charter flights already because of Caitlin Clark.
Yes,
because she was getting so much attention and mobbed in airports. It was like, dude, this is crazy. This is not good for.
It's helping everybody. and it's just I have no problem with on the court being rough. I have no problem with any of that because that's basketball. That's the way it's always been. I have no problem with
trash talk either. Trash talk all you want.
But the fact that nobody in this league has seemed to figure out we need to be on the right side of this, or not even the right side. We need to be on the profitable side of this. And why don't I go try and get my jersey sold instead of trying to be like, we're all going to try and be Lex Luthor. Someone's supposed to be in the Justice League with her, right?
I know. Just like I said,
y'all all want to be the villains.
They all want to be the villains against Caitlin Clark. Even her own teammates didn't even help her up after she got hit checked. It's like, guys, y'all supposed to be on her side fighting with her. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know why she seems like she's by herself in this whole thing. It's weird. I don't get it. I'm with you. I don't understand how you can justify that if you're that Olympic committee. Y'all, you said earlier you would fire them, and I agree. I'd fire some people. I'd be like, no, I gotta fire you. Y'all not doing what's best for the game. Y'all not doing what's best for the game. Y'all not doing what's best for the national team here for Team USA. So, I mean, she was the gateway to women's basketball. Now, some people are saying, well, was she more deserving? It's got nothing to do with that, guys. It's got nothing to do with
it. No, I get on the text line. It's like, I get it. I get she's white. I understand that. I don't care. She's going to make money for everyone else. So why? So if you just say, okay, kick every white girl out of the league, don't make no money, have fun, be morally justifiably right. I get it. She's popular because she's white. Fine. If that's true, fine. Yeah. I don't care if she's making money for everybody. It's not a problem of is it justifiably right, but you can't try and kick it in the face because it's making you money. It's working for everyone.
The race thing is interesting. I've heard people mention this about race because she's white and a predominantly black sport, then it kind of stands out, and that's a big topic of conversation. I would say this. I mean, it's great because I know a lot of young people, and they're little white girls too, who love basketball and play basketball. Yeah. And I mean, anytime that you are playing a sport as a young person, you want to see somebody who looks like you achieving. That's period. And in any sport, because it makes you can relate to them more. You're like, oh man, I can relate to that. Maybe I can do that one day. And that's just the way it happens for young people. They picture themselves in that role of achievement. And so if you are a young white girl in America and you're playing basketball, Caitlin Clark's got to be like it's your hero right now. I mean, you want to be Caitlin Clark. You want to be inspired to what she's been. All-time leading scorer in the NCAA. Iconic player. Probably, I mean, you talk about just in terms of awareness, she's in terms of most well-known athletes. I mean, dude, she's passed a lot of baseball players. I can tell you that. She might be past most baseball players. She's probably more recognizable than 95% of baseball players.
Yeah.
Major League. I'm talking major leaguers. Y'all be like, that's crazy. No, I'm not. That's not that crazy.
No, it's not.
It's not that crazy.
I tell you what, go on MLB Pass and watch a Royals game and tell me how many players. You'd be like, oh yeah, that guy. You'd be like, I know Bobby Witt Jr. on there and Perez and guy, but I don't know. They got 30 guys on that roster. You pull out a reliever.
Most people can't even name more than 5 players in the WNBA. Yeah. That most people who are upset, who may be saying that she's got no case to be on the team, they can't even name a lot of players in the WNBA. No, and my thing was, I know she's may not. You can make the case that she's not deserving merit in terms of the meritocracy of it. I'm not going to make that argument. No. I'm saying she's the biggest thing to happen to women's basketball in the last 20, at least since I've been alive, last 30 years. And I think to ignore that when constructing the roster of the women's national team is egregiously stupid. And I think it is I think ultimately they're going to pay the price for it. They're not capitalizing on this moment.
No, when your ratings, you're knocking down your ratings. And I get that's silly, but you're like, That's the reason these players are going to make more money, is because the new TV rights deal is going to be bigger than the TV rights deal was before, because the ratings have gone up. And again, I say they're now in the NHL range of ratings. That's when she's playing. So if they're able to build on that, but they're going to try and get a TV rights deal that gets them better, which then means the salary cap, the same way it does in the NBA and everywhere else, is it raises everything, and now everyone makes more money because all the teams are making more off the TV rights deal. So then everyone gets more money, and all the best players in the league now get more because the cap goes up and the money goes up. So it does rise everything, but it doesn't if you cut it off before it happens.
If you strangle the baby in the crib, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't ever grow.
Nurture this thing.
Yes.
Nurture it. Come on, man. Yeah, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. I know we never talk more women's basketball, so obviously that's an accomplishment in itself. All right, we promised you a Rangers report, so let's get that next segment. We're gonna do Rangers report and Rod's rant in the next segment. We'll do them both coming up next segment, and then we'll take care of both of those. And I'll just make Rod's rant it'll be the discussion we have about Texas' new hire as special assistant. So we'll do that for Rod's rant coming up. All right, so we'll have that coming up on the next in the next segment right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Babers coming back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get to our Rangers report. We get into our Rangers report every Monday and Friday. So Rangers, for Rangers fans, those are the days you want to stick around for our Rangers report. All right, a couple of things here. First of all, Marcus Semien. Rangers get a 7-2 win in their last game over the Giants. So they avoided the sweep by getting a win. But it was interesting what went down the bottom of the first. So it was kind of a little scary at first. Fastball from Giant starter Keaton Wynn that caught Rangers second baseman Marcus Semien on on his hat, basically like the tip of his bill of his hat, which was scary. He seemed pretty upset about it. Went to first base, but he was scored later that inning. But he batted again in the second, and against the wind, the same pitcher that gave him that close call in the first, Semien hit a 2-run homer, put the Rangers up 5 en route to a 7-2 victory. And kind of reminds me of, remember he did that against the Astros famously. Framber Valdez hit Semien in retaliation. Yeah, we all remember how that went down.
Yes.
Anyway, that's a guy you don't want to really, you don't want to motivate him. You don't need extra motivation because he's been fantastic. Matter of fact, I got some Semien stats that I wanted to share. I mean, this dude has been really just on a tear. So Marcus Semien, he should start the All-Star game for the American League. He's the only American League second baseman with double-digit home runs, hitting his 11th of the year yesterday. Here are his ranks among second basemen in the American League in these categories. Batting average 4th, OBP 3rd, slugging percentage 2nd, OPS 3rd, home run 1st, RBI 1st, doubles 1st, triples tied for 1st, extra base hits 1st, runs 1st, hits 2nd. Yeah, dude is right now at the top of his game. Rangers fans should be really excited about that. Also, the return of Corey Seager will help when that happens. He wasn't needed Sunday off the bench. He did say he thought he could pinch hit if needed. The day off will give him some more time to heal. They'll give him like 4 days off for that hamstring injury that he's dealing with. And there's no need to rush him at all. Also, Josh Young will be traveling with the team to the West Coast. It says he won't be starting a rehab assignment Tuesday. He says he needs to take live batting practice before he is sent out, and he can do that as soon as Tuesday. So AAA Round Rock actually and AA Frisco are both home this week, so he might get some of that work in there. And that's about it for our Range report. Also, shout out to Nathan Eovaldi. He needed 90 pitches to complete 7 innings at his third start off the injured list. And he allowed 2 runs on 5 hits, walking 1, had 5 strikeouts. One of the runs came on that Mike Yastrzemski homer on an 0-2 pitch. But other than that, Eovaldi looked really, really good. So that's good news also.
No, Corey Seager wants to come back strong for this Dodgers series, play against a former team. You always want to play against him. So I'm sure that there was conversations. I can be in if you need me. It's like, no. Let's let you rest up, and then hopefully we'll get you back. And if you're feeling good and we, ready to go play LA. But he wants to play against his former team. Everybody always wants to play against their former team.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Got to throw it in their face a little bit. Yeah, I didn't think about that. You're right. That's a good point. Also, something I didn't bring up, Rangers had a lot of stolen bases in that win over San Fran. How about this stat? Texas stole 4 bases in the first 2 innings at Guelph over San Fran. Gave them a 7-2 lead, but the Rangers 3 stolen bases in the first inning alone were the most in a single frame since June 7th of 2022 in the top of the 6th at Cleveland. And it was the most stolen bases in any one game for the Rangers since July 1st, 2023 against the Astros, also 4. And the first time with 4 or more individual players recording at least 1 steal since May 25th of 2022. So the Rangers entered their last game, having recorded multiple steals in an inning just 8 times in the Bruce Bochy era. So Bruce Bochy added, they're trying to get a little bit more aggressive on running the base pads. So there you go. All right, that's our Rangers report brought to you by Texas Truck and Trailer. All right, before we talk about the new special assistant to the head coach over on the 40 Acres for Texas Football, really quickly, I saw Kendall Rogers. He was on, who's the college baseball insider. He was on with 1045 ESPN in Baton Rouge. They were talking about college baseball, and the Longhorns came up. And I felt like you Texas baseball fans might want to hear this from Kendall Rogers, the insider, and what he had to say about Coach Pierce in Texas. Here is Kendall Rogers.
Would you anticipate, Kendall, any other movement on the coaching front across college baseball, or have those waves settled?
If I were an LSU fan, I'd keep a very close eye on Texas. Because I don't think they're getting Jim Schlossnagle, and the next option will be Jay Johnson. I don't think they'll get Jay either, but I can promise you they're going to try.
So you think Pierce is going to be fired?
I mean, his answer over the weekend in College Station was not real. I didn't think it was real positive. I thought it was kind of telling a little bit. And everything I'm hearing around there is that they're more than likely going to make a change. And I can tell you, and I know how Chris Del Conte works. He will want to make a splash. He does not want them to repeat what happened when they hired Pierce. And I think he's going to try to make a big splash. I don't think he's going to get Jim. I mean, Jim's his pal. I mean, he's got it rolling at A&M. They're going to be really good again next year. They got pretty much everybody but Montgomery back. And Jay Johnson's a guy that, at least from their perspective, would make a lot of sense. I don't think he's going anywhere. I'd be shocked if he went anywhere, but they're going to shoot the shot if that job comes open.
There you go. So he's saying they're going to shoot that shot at the LSU baseball head coach potentially, and even brought up the old ties they have with Jim Schlossnagle, who's the Aggies baseball coach. And yes, got the Aggies rolling still. I believe the Aggies have the best odds to win the whole damn thing. My man Kevin Dunn, who does he's great. He's probably as knowledgeable about Texas baseball as any human being I know. He said he likes Link Jarrett. He put that out. He said, I wanted UT to go get Link Jarrett a few years ago. Link Jarrett's the Notre Dame baseball coach, I believe. He's the best baseball coach in the country, said his opinion. Said he's probably untouchable now that he's back home at FSU. Said he was at Notre Dame, but now he's at FSU. He said Bakich is number 2 or 1B for him. And I believe he's a Clemson head coach, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of talk that Texas will end up going after a baseball coach. The fact that we have not had a public showing of support or statement of support from CDC probably says a lot too about it. All right, let's get to the special assistant to the special assistant to the head coach job, which has recently come open because Paul Chryst, remember we had the report last week that Paul Chryst was not going to be retained, or at least he was not with the staff. So I don't know if it was a retained thing or not. He's just not with the staff as a special assistant this year. And I believe they brought in Chris Gilbert. Remember, formerly Chris Gilbert was on the staff as director of high school relations, and now he's come back in the special assistant role. That was reported too. But now there's another hire for Texas in the special assistant role. And these are, like I said, there's no real, breakdown of what a special assistant does. Still don't know. I think they're given special projects and they do whatever the coaches want to do, but they seem to have been in different phases. Like last year you had you had Paul Chryst on offense, you had Payam Sadat on defense, you had Joe DeCamillis on special teams. So I believe this latest one is a special teams hire, and it's Forrester, his name, Chris Forrestier. Forestier, or could be Forrester. I think Forestier is his. I'm going to go with that. Chris Forestier, he's a special assistant to the head coach. Says here he was formerly at Pine Bluff as their special teams coordinator and tight ends coach, and that was as recently as late March. He had just gotten hired there, and it helped them go through spring practices. And now he's being obviously hired as a special assistant at Texas. In 2022 and 2023, he was actually an analyst at U of H. So he actually has some experience going up against Texas, game planning against Texas and Coach Banks. And he was a help with the special teams there at U of H, which means he worked with Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden averaged like almost 30 yards per kickoff return last year, something crazy like that. Had 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. And this young man, I'm sure, was part of the game planning for them special teams wise. He also was responsible for coaching specialists daily and assisting in game planning and routine operations for the special teams units. So he's going to be helping out Jeff Banks a lot. And also, I loved on his resume here, he spent 6 seasons at LSU where he worked as a special teams assistant under veteran college coach Bradley Dale Peveto during his tenure there with the Tigers. And before that, he actually went to Northwestern State. My dad actually ran track at Northwestern State. So he actually has been in special teams in that phase his entire coaching career so far. And if you go look at Houston last year, not only you had the 2 kickoff returns by Matthew Golden, but Houston blocked 3 kicks last year in 2023. They blocked 3 kicks. They returned 2 kickoff for touchdowns. Mark Fleming, who was a senior for them, he was top 5 in the conference in yards per punt return, 7.1 yards per punt return, which is pretty good. So they had really good special teams. I remember last year Texas had also some of the best special teams in the country. Keelan Robinson was the best kickoff returner in that draft class. As part of the reason he was drafted with the new hybrid kickoff return rules in the NFL. Xavier Worthy was an all-conference, all Big 12 punt returner. And so was Keelan Robinson, was all-conference too. So this year, you add second team all Big 12 returner Matthew Golden and the Pac-12's leading kick returner in Oregon State's transfer, Silas Bowden. So Silas Bowden was one of the best kick returners in the country, and then you bring in Matthew Golden, who's also a part of that. I brought up the fact that they had 3 block kicks. The Houston did. They were 3rd in average kickoff return yards, 21.6, and they were 5th in net punting yards at 40.8. So the U of A special teams actually were pretty good, and Jeff Banks got a chance to coach against this young man. So if he coached against him, he must have liked, the chess match between the two. And Jeff Banks lost Joke D. Camillus, who helped him out, 20-year coaching veteran in special teams at the NFL level. And now he's bringing in someone who can probably help them weaponize Matthew Golden. He knows exactly how they utilize Matthew Golden, what made him one of the best kickoff returners in the country. Now you can bring those ideas to the table, and it seems like U of H had all around some pretty good special teams. And I think one of the underrated strengths of this Texas team this year is going to be the return game. I think Matthew Golden is going to be great. I think he's an upgrade over Keelan Robinson. And like I said, that guy was the best kickoff returner in that draft class, but Matthew Golden is a better kickoff returner. Silas Bowden won't be a better punt returner than Xavier Worthy. I don't know if you're going to get a better punt returner than Xavier Worthy on the roster right now, period. But I think he may be the closest thing to it. I think he'll be the best punt returner on the roster this season too. So there you go. That's the new special assistant to the head coach, Chris Forestier. I hope I said his name right. If I didn't, I apologize, Chris. Did not mean to disrespect you like that. All right, we come back. We'll play a little bit of Who Said That on the other side. So we play clips from the sports world, sometimes beyond, and then based on the context clues or based on recalling the voice, you're supposed to be able to identify who said that. So we'll do that when we come back right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers coming right back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Smooth Soul Monday. This is my co-host, Patrick Davis, the Idillionaire. Plays jams intended to make the transition from the relaxing, fun-filled, happy times of the weekend to the stress-filled, hectic work week just a little bit smoother. So we call it a Smooth Soul Monday. And thanks to Patrick for the creativity for all the musically themed days of the week. All right, here you go. Before we get to who said that, here are your odds to win the NBA Finals MVP. This just dropped 5 minutes ago. Jason Tatum, plus 100. Jaylen Brown, plus 185. Luka, plus 650. And then Drew Holiday at plus 850. And then it drops off significantly. Derek White's at plus 5,000. So those guys are pretty much not even in it, at least based on these odds. So it's a 4-man race for MVP, at least based on the Vegas odds. And it's Jason Tatum. Even though he's at the worst finals of all of these guys who have the best odds, Jaylen Brown, Luka, and Drew Holiday. No way. I don't give a damn how well Luka plays. Nobody on the losing team will ever win it again. I mean, it's happened once before.
No,
right?
he would basically have to have 60 points a game and then lose.
Yep. I thought LeBron had a case for it, one of those losses to the Warriors. I forgot which one.
Yeah.
I remember Kyrie was hurt and he was like, so
was it the one that Iggy won there?
No, it was one they lost, though. It was one they lost.
No, but when Iggy won the
no, you're right. Yes.
So that was the point when you're like, look, if Iguodala is the guy that has to win the Finals MVP, maybe it's LeBron.
Yes, I think you're right about that. That's probably when it was. I was like, man, LeBron was killing it, and like Kyrie was dealing with an injury, and Kevin Love was dealing with an injury, and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. So those are the odds. 21% of the money is on Luka to win MVP. People love losing money, don't they? I guess they bet that early.
They probably bet that early, and I think that's the one. He's the easiest answer. If the Mavs win, he's the guy. So you're basically betting on the Mavs winning the Finals, which is lower odds now.
Yeah, that's a low.
No, but I think in the beginning there was a lot of people who were picking the Mavs. You picked the Mavs.
That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah, but mine was more of a sentimental pick.
I guess. So now that's what you say now.
No, even at the time, I said at the time, I said this is a sentimental
I'm
pick.
just giving you a hard time.
I knew Boston was a better team, but I was hoping Luka was going to have
time.
this transcendent performance, and
you were expecting Kyrie to show up.
And that too. Yes. And I was wrong. I was mistaken. And you know what? I disrespected the Celtics, man. I didn't give enough props for how good they are. They are legit. They're as good as advertised. All right, let's talk about who said that, because that's when my man Patrick plays pieces of audio, and based on context clues or based on familiarity of voice, you have to figure out who said that.
We've been having conversations from schematic to from the various ways that you want to use personnel. I think it opens up your roster because the lack of distance or the reduction in distance for the coverage teams makes it less substantial of an investment overall. So maybe guys that traditionally have been starters on defense or starters on offense, I think it gives you more flexibility to put starters on that unit for various reasons. And, overall, it wouldn't shock me if, every number one receiver and every number one running back in the league is raising their hand to return kicks week 4. So it'll be cool.
All right, that is Mike McDaniel talking about the new kickoff rule, and something I said too. I think more and more teams will be willing to put their elite athletes, even the big money athletes, back on kickoff situationally, because they know when you're guaranteed chunk yardage, guaranteed the way the kickoff set up. Not only are you going to get the return, but you're going to get chunk yardage, because if you put an elite athlete back there without the defense being able to get kind of a running start to give them an advantage and leverage, man, if you got good blockers out there, you really can set up a great wall and get yourself a 30-yard return.
I do think especially there's going to be every running back that's speed back, and everybody with that is going to be like, you know what, man, I can't make any money playing running back anymore, and I can't. Maybe if I'm a returner too, and I'm one of the best returners in the league, then I can get in the world where I get, maybe that'll bump me up my pay a little bit and get me a little bit more, because now I'm versatile. I need to be versatile. I need to learn how to catch the ball. I need to learn how to learn how to return kicks. I need to learn how to do everything, because that's the only way I'm going to get paid as a running back. Because if I can just get in a costume as a wide receiver, They're handing out money to them.
Hey, the more you can do, man, you're right about that. The more you can bring to the table as a running back, the better. I think you're around the money there. I think you'll get a ton of really good running backs who decide to do it, and their skill set probably translates better than anybody else's to that specific type of kickoff return. So there you go. You're gonna get more of that. You're starting to hear more and more. I've been playing the clips as soon as I can get them about how teams are getting really creative. Remember, we talked about how there are some special teams coaches. The Kansas City Chiefs special teams coach said he's now got some of his DBs. Justin Reed being one of them, actually got them doing kickoffs, like actually kicking the ball off because he thinks their kicker may be a liability covering those types of kicks. You got other coaches saying they're working out their kickers with the DBs so they can learn how to tackle more. Whoever thinks outside the box is going to be able to really maximize this new kickoff return rule in the NFL. All right, Dan Hurley is expected to make his decision about whether he's going to take that Lakers job today. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow. That's a big decision. A lot of reverberating domino effect all throughout, shockwaves throughout college basketball and the NBA. All right, thank you guys for joining us. Thank Patrick because he's the real MVP. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We'll talk about it right here on the Rodcast. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Join us tomorrow, same time, same channel. Until next time, peace and hook 'em.